Chapter 2792. Yes, 3 young people could break the rules of the imperial court as they wished. Keep your voice down. They are godlike existences now. Don't provoke these ancient creatures. Otherwise, you won't even know how you died. An older generation figure warned. Sure enough, wherever the 3 Silver Lightning race experts passed, the human cultivators all retreated. They didn't even dare to get close to them. This scene made the 3 Silver Lightning race geniuses very satisfied. What they wanted was this kind of respect. I wonder what the 3 of you are here for? An elder of the imperial family walked over and wanted to invite the 3 Silver Lightning race experts into the imperial palace. There's nothing else. We're just here to challenge a person. Chapter 2808. We want to teach a person a lesson. Of them all was Yi Teach a person a lesson. The Yi family's who dared to provoke the was naturally the center of attention, attracting countless Archean creatures to challenge him. They remembered the previous rumor that the Silver Lightning race's envoy was beaten out by immortal palaces, which made the human powerhouses heave a sigh of relief. A Silver Lightning race heavenly genius physique, precisely the immortal sage of the eastern wilderness, was also the news to the world. He displayed powerful combat strength in the imperial capital. Archean prodigies tell him to wash his challenge him one after another. Come here to die. The Gu family's Gu Santong was also terrifying. He's dead meat. There was also Lin Xian. It's really Lin Xian. They're actually going to attack Lin in this chaos. Heavens, the other person truly was even more shocking piece of news. The Tai Xin Lin Xian is not only the master of the immortal palace, but the combat strength he displayed now was extremely terrifying. He's one of the 5 great titled geniuses of the human race that he had been hiding many geniuses in the human race on the middle ground to challenge him. There was the great They didn't expect that the creatures of the divine wind ancient races would actually attack him. The 3 of them were also incomparably terrifying. I don't know. As they swept through the area. It's rumored that the 10,000 ancient races are very terrifying. And Yenryu were powerful. That's not necessarily true. The Demon King Palace is one of the 10,000 Archean tribe were very close. How can he lose? Which made everyone even more worried. One after another. On the western desert everyone was discussing and No Flower were also they knew about Lin Xian's strength. The southern mountains Yan in the younger generation even more terrifying. There were many people who were his match. The victories of these prodigies made the human race feel geniuses of the 10,000 ancient races still had hope, but they knew about it from the legends. Geniuses among the titled prodigies. 10,000 ancient races survive the Archean Age contest. If the 2 sides really fought, even advance it would be hard to say who was stronger and who was weaker. What surprised them was that there was no news there were also people who were unconvinced. That was not right. Sure Logically speaking, someone as the middle emperor, although Lin Xian should have received countless challenges. In terms of individual strengths, you're no match for God Lin Xian was defeated? That's right. Impossible. That's right. If he was defeated, the news would be even more compared to one of the top geniuses of the human race. To fight? You are just relying on the fact that you have survived everyone was since ancient times and have ancestors in your family. Lin Xian's strength. Many people muttered softly. Lin Xian had forcefully chased away the silver electric tribe of the 3 Silver Lightning races. They heard that he had killed 3 silver electric tribe prodigies in the imperial capital. Human brat? With such a strong attitude and terrifying strength, clan experts were afraid of these Archean creatures. Like you understand our strength and power. There had been no news of Lin Xian recently. Can come and try. They discussed animated. See if we are strong and many of them even began to investigate. There like fiend gods. During this period of time, lightning constantly surged from their bodies, came one after turning another, into lightning wishing beasts to challenge that roared in all directions. However, they were all blocked. Do you think I'm afraid of fearless formation? Today, the Hallmaster was in seclusion and was not prepared to fight 10,000 ancient races. The ancient creature didn't believe it. A young man walked out from the crowd. That Lin Xian was afraid. Actually, Lin Xian was really in seclusion. Yes, he had just was a genius of the Mo family, spiritual herb and he was from the very powerful, and was using it to refine the combat strength called the central. And it was said that he admired Lin Xian. Give up the title as seclusion. He especially admired Lin Xian worthy of the word. He had made ample preparations. A sky prize from the fire cloud was even happening in the outside world. The Silver Lightning body, the Archean prodigies only carrying around people. He directly announced that Lin surged into the sky, except the prodigies couldn't block the other parties. Not a single blade of grass. Silver Lightning clan on the Silver Lightning race's side. It turned out to be a intense search. The Silver Lightning race from the Tingo primordial royal race. The Tingo race was a very powerful race among the 10,000 they had no royal race. The incident above the primordial royal race was the primordial had threaded the Silver Lightning race's geniuses were a pair of white on his back and looked even their souls did not escape. Right, many people's faces were filled with despair. They had to return the favor. so they had to kill the other party in front of everyone in the world. We were in a deep sleep, seeing how arrogant these ancient royal family members were. Lin Xian supporters couldn't take it anymore. After defeating Mo Tianyi, what are you so the voice of the Silver Lightning How can you compare to God Lin Xian's strength, full of mockery and arrogance? God Lin Xian is entitled the surrounding cultivators, and his strength is on par with Yi Dao's. If you have the ability, older generation experts were also gnashing their teeth. That's right. However, without exception, you can beat him. None of them dared to make a move. Snorted coldly. There was nothing they could do. The other party's identity was too 10,000 archaic and there were countless powerful races behind him. Sacred bodies are very powerful, but so it would be declaring war. Up until now, 10,000 the ancient royal family hasn't made a move yet. They could only gnash their teeth and stare at the other party above us. You ants, do you think those people can resist Lin Xian to come over and die? When those words were said, the three Silver Lightning races prodigies walked toward the palace. News about the 10,000 archaic races spread. When everyone learned about the Silver Lightning race's prodigies were so knew how terrifying those royal families were. In a breath of cold air. There were even more terrifying royal families. They were all looking forward to Lin Xian making a move. Ancient noble families of the human race. Lin Xian would make a move. From the looks of it, it would be best if he could kill these ancient creatures in one move. Not only that, the other prodigies didn't dare to make a move at all. Primordial power perhaps only God Lin Xian would dare to make a move. Everyone was discussing spiritedly. The Yi family and the Gu family were all silent. There would be sky pride battles. Only the central emperor Lin Xian of these primordial races was too ancient races. Although the human race had surprise resounded in the true spirit world and Yan Nantian, Lin Xian most of them were not a match for these primordial races. He frowned. For a moment, Silver Lightning races prodigies were waiting for him in the divine wind imperial capital, causing the human sky prides to exclaim, "Where did this group of people get their confidence from? Were incomparably heavy. They even dared to fight him." A peerless sky pride of the Blood Moon clan had appeared. It couldn't be an ambush. Soon, he would fight against see if there were any Silver Lightning race prodigies. The Blood Moon clan was one of the ancient royal suspected that this was a trap. Their strength was extremely terrifying. The news spread. When this news spread to the palace master, there was no ambush. Were the ancient royal families Silver Lightning going to make a prodigies had arrived. The human race trembled. At that time, while the other 10,000 ancient races in the imperial capital in alarm. The immortal palace's cultivator quickly told Lin Xian what had happened in the imperial capital that day. Finally going to make a move. After Lin Xian heard this, they were too excited. So powerful? They didn't even put the divine family was an extremely terrifying existence. These Silver Lightning races bloodline was even purer and more terrifying. However, when he heard that the divine wind dynasty did not do anything to the people in the great Rift Valley of the northern plains, he started to frown. They saw a majestic figure that the other easily defeated a prodigy at the same level, and his blood chi surged into the sky. Wherever he passed, the strength of an ordinary saint was equivalent to a late stage 8-star. It caused the world to tremble. They were at the peak of that a few invincible kings went to investigate out of curiosity. They were equivalent to ordinary invincible kings. On the spot. For example, Lin Xian was able to kill early 9-star invincible kings. The Alcade Sage, after being nourished by the dragon energy in the nest of 10,000 dragons, grave expressions. Lin Xian's 9-yang divine body and great dragon pride going to make a move once again. It seemed that it should be very now equivalent to a mid-9-star invincible king tier. After the Blood Moon clan sky pride, another terrifying existence appeared. In the endless mountains of the Nanling Mountains, reached, Lin Xian was very confident in his trump cards. All living beings within a million miles were slaughtered. People could defeat him. That person was like a fiend god. Courting death, with one move, their wish. He killed countless lives and swallowed their souls. Prepared to head to the Divine Wind Imperial capital. The dark red divine dragon followed him. Chapter 2809. There was also when the Guardian in the dark, the human race was terrified. Ruffian dragon activated the teleportation cried out and directly teleported. The blue devil race. Lin Xian didn't want to waste time. Another royal race has appeared. The dark red divine dragon while they were set up a teleportation platform were also filled with fear. The blue devil race was powerful. And they were good at devouring the souls of others to strengthen themselves. The dark red divine dragon they must not provoke them. Then pointed ahead and said, news about the blue devil race spread, and the world was abuzz. They should be able to reach the divine wind imperial primordial royal race geniuses gave the human race a lot of pressure, and the two of them quickly flew and the others be able to resist. In the divine wind imperial capital, more and more cultivators gathered in the eastern wilderness. The reason for that was because they knew that a world shaking battle was about to erupt here, causing Becoming a phenomenon. Many powerhouses and geniuses of the Holy Land's generation figures were even more shocked, ready to watch the battle. What a grand display. The crowd even found that there were a few Archean creatures among them. A terrifying roar came from the silver river that filled the sky. Creatures of other races are here. Shattered thousands of miles of them to be extremely shocked. The mountains below trembled, these Archean creatures were also invited away by the elders of the divine wind imperial capital. The weaker ones turned into blood. Which race are these Archean creatures from? Damn it. They're so powerful and activate the array formation. Than the silver lightning the human race. Powerhouses roared. Let's not talk about the cities them. Activated their array formations to defend themselves. Perhaps he hasn't received the news yet, and they gritted their teeth. Or perhaps he's on his way here. The 10,000 ancient races, the people of the Tuoba family, the 10,000 ancient races, and the 5 elements caused such a terrifying commotion. I'm afraid he doesn't dare to come. They were massacring the human race. Don't judge Lin Xian with the thoughts of trash like you. Many human invincible powerhouses wanted to make a move. That's right. There was nothing they could do. The central emperor, the impact of the other party was silver lightning race's powerhouse. They were stopped by an even more terrifying existence. You're the ones who don't dare to say anything. Don't be rash. A saint's genius doesn't even dare to fart in front of these younger generation deal with it. Sneers and mockery sounded one after another. It will probably cause an even more terrifying battle. The Holy Land's great sects gritted their teeth and were about to vomit blood. Indeed the younger generation of the arrogant voice of the silver lightning race came from the palace geniuses. Is Lin Xian here yet? The silver race was also a royal race. Tell him to get over here. This scene shocked everyone even more. I can kill him with one slap. Especially the human race like geniuses, turning into an endless sea of thunder in the sky. The reason for that was because the ancient royal family was simply too so suppressed that they couldn't breathe. The aura they emitted made them tremble. They were simply unable to resist, but they caused such a terrifying impact and the outside holy sun had these serious expressions on their faces as they felt really terrifying. Since the royal races had appeared, the people of the royal races be far away? The elements palace, these geniuses of the ancient royal families walked. That was because they felt that these 3 silver lightning races everyone might really be able to kill. No one dared to fight with them. Half a day later, there was a sudden commotion at the gates of the imperial capital. It seemed like they were looking for the right exclamations could be. For a moment, everyone in the world panicked. What? Many people even went into seclusion, afraid that they would be chosen by the other party. Received the news and moved out one after Immortal another. Palace. Within Immortal Palace's pill refining room, and all kinds of restaurants and shops were filled with people. Formations surrounded figures. This was the place where were not ordinary into seclusion to refine pills. However, at this moment, a burst of pill fragrance wafted out from the pill concoction room and glared at the people around him, scaring them so much that they didn't dare to speak. All of Immortal Palace's martial artists, the dark red divine dragon shouted at the top of his voice. It was the Hallmaster. 3 silver electric race pill was almost complete. Tell them to get over here. Such a fragrant medicinal pill was definitely different. He was too angry. Even the elders dared to shout in surprise. He really didn't know what was good for him. Too miraculous. Snake. You're courting death. At such a young age, an angry voice came from the palace. His attainments in alchemy were also terrifying. The huge thunderclouds trembled and erupted with endless over from afar. They surged down, wanting to kill the dark red divine dragon. It cried out in excitement. You want to hurt me with this little bit of lightning? Brat, you're really something. On your face. He was really too excited. He opened his dragon mouth and endless seawater surged out. He knew that this was refined and colliding with the thunder that filled the spirit herbs from ancient water completely annihilated the thunder and even scattered the thunder. He even provided some of his blood. Powerful. It seemed like the dark red divine dragon break the attack sure of the silver and electric race powerhouses. The door of the casual refining room in the surrounding cultivators also Lin Xian walked out, his face also full of joy. 3 figures instantly arrived nearby like lightning. Congratulations, their faces were gloomy as they stared at the dark red divine dragon. Cheered one after another. It was indeed a dragon. Lin Xian also smiled and nodded. Damn it. This kid actually had a dragon by his side. He had already been in from the nest for more than a month, dragons, so he was naturally not too clear about the outside world. The 3 of them quickly communicated. He thought that if he was really from the nest of 10,000 dragons, more and more, they would probably have knelt down by now. It was the elders who told Lin Xian all of the major events wasn't a dragon from the nest of 10,000 dragons. He frowned, 3 silver electric race powerhouses snorted coldly. He did not ignore that the dark red divine ancient races were actually so arrogant. In addition to sending
here.
out envoys
The
last
three
time,
of them formed
they
a
actually
triangle
sent out
and
their own
surrounded
geniuses
Lin Xian.
to cause trouble.
Their bodies
Many
emitted a
saints
biting
and
cold
saintesses
killing
were even
intent,
defeated
forming
miserably.
a unique domain that
Fortunately,
enveloped
Wu
heaven
Dao
and
and the
earth.
others had risen
The
up,
three of you want to
restoring
challenge
hope
me
to the human race.
And you even said that
What
you want to
comforted
kill
him
me
the
with a
most was
slap.
that Murong,
Lin
Qingqing,
Xian
and
looked at the
Shenjing
three of
Qiu
them.
were equally
He
strong
stood with
and
his
had
hands
obtained
behind his
victory
back,
in this battle,
looking calm.
However,
That's
when
right,
he
it's
learned
us.
that the geniuses of the
you
ancient
actually
royal
dare to
races
injure
had
the
also
emissary
appeared,
of the silver
a trace
electric
of worry
race
and
appeared in
challenged
his
the
heart.
authority of
It
the silver
seemed that
electric
just
race.
the appearance of the
You really
ancient
want to
royal
die?
races had caused an
Don't you know
abnormally
that you used to be
terrifying
our
scene.
slave?
They definitely
Lin Xian
had an
smiled.
extremely
You
powerful
said it yourself,
bloodline
that was in the
strength and
past.
terrifying
How many tens
supernatural
of
abilities.
thousands of years had
This
passed?
kind of person
The
was
strength of the
definitely
human
a great
race
enemy
is
of the
far
world.
beyond your
There
imagination.
was also another matter.
I'll give you a chance.
The martial artist in front
Apologize
said,
obediently
"Master,
and scram.
in this past month,
I can
the
spare
Silver
your
Lightning
lives.
race, Celestial
Otherwise,
Dog
your
race,
fate will
and
be.
Fire Cloud
This
race's
voice was
geniuses
laced with
have
a
constantly
biting
come to
cold
provoke
threat.
us, but we
Upon
have
hearing
rejected them
this,
all.
the three Silver
However,
Lightning Clan
they
experts
actually
were
spread
immediately
word that the
enraged.
Hallmaster is
Dazzling
afraid.
thunder
How
exploded
hateful.
from their bodies,
However,
piercing
the
through all
Hallmaster said that we
directions.
should not act
The surrounding
rashly,
martial
so we did
artists
not touch
quickly
them.
retreated.
They did not
The
dare
elders
to
of the
fight.
royal family
Afraid?
even activated
After
the
Lin
arranged
Xian heard
formation.
this, he coldly
Flickering
snorted
runes appeared
and a
on the
biting
streets
cold
and on
light
the buildings.
appeared in his eyes.
Seeing the
Don't
royal
worry,
capital
leave this
activate
matter
the
to me.
formation,
The
I will go
surrounding
into
cultivators
seclusion now
heaved
and
a sigh
consume
of
these
relief.
pills.
Once
Once again,
again,
he
he
will be
watched
the
with
time
peace
of their
of mind.
deaths.
There's
After
no
saying
point in
this,
talking anymore.
Lin Xian
Let
strode
me see
towards
what
the
kind of
Star
ability
Palace.
you have to
The
dare to
dark
kill
red
me
dragon
with a single
also
slap.
followed.
Lin
Soon,
Xian looked
the
at
two
the
of
three
them
of them
entered
and said,
seclusion
"You
and
three
consumed
can come
the
at me
refined
together.
pills.
There's no
Not only
need
did
for
these
the three
pills
of us to
contain
deal with you.
8,000-year-old
I alone
spirit
am enough."
herbs,
But they
one
also
of them
had the
stepped
effect
forward.
of dragon blood.
It was him who had
It was
defeated
incomparably
Emma Tianyi
terrifying.
with a single punch.
Half a month
Kid,
later,
remember me.
Lin Xian's
I mean
strength
phone.
and cultivation
The
base
Silver
rose
Lightning
again.
Clan expert
He ate
stepped
half
forward,
of the pills
his
and gave the
expression
other
filled
half
with
to the
boundless
dark red
arrogance.
dragons.
His
Killing
strength
you
had
with
risen to
single
the peak
slap
of
is
the
enough.
early 8-star
Offending
realm.
us is the biggest mistake you've made in your life. The dragon
Your
sword
aura is
soul
not
had
bad,
also risen,
and your eyes are
and
cold.
the 9 yang divine
Unfortunately,
body had
you
reached
don't
the
have the
7th
right to
stage
be
of the
arrogant
second
in
layer.
front of me.
Currently,
Lin
Lin
Xian
Xian's
shook his head
arcane
and
power
sighed.
should be around 25,000.
Why are there always people who
This
don't
was
know
without
what's good
using
for
a
them and
half-step
want to
sage
challenge me?
artifact or the
You're
dragon
courting
sword
death.
soul. Yin Feng's
Once he
expression
used the
was solemn,
half-step sage
and a
artifact
biting
and the
cold
dragon
light
sword
burst
soul,
out from his
his
eyes.
arcane power
He
would rise
raised his
again.
palm,
The
and an
improvement
endless
this time
sea of
gave
lightning
Lin
spread
Xian
out
a
from
lot
his
of
hand,
confidence.
forming a large
to mention
silver
the
palm
silver
that
lightning
shone
clan,
brightly in the sky.
he was confident that he
Feeling
could
this
kill
palm,
the prides
the
of the
peerless
Archean royal
powerhouses
family.
all trembled.
Boom. Boom.
Even the invincible
On the other
kings
side,
felt
the
their
dark red
scalps go
dragon
numb.
also came
So
out of
powerful.
seclusion.
He also
This
looked up
Yin
to the
Feng
sky and
definitely
laughed.
had the strength
His
of an
strength had
invincible
risen.
king.
It had reached
No wonder he could
24,000
defeat Emma
Archean
Tianyi
power
with a single punch.
Of course, under the
Everyone
condition of
exclaimed in
using
shock.
some secret
Boom.
techniques and
In the
burning
sky,
dragon blood.
the large
His
silver
Archean
palm
power
carried
would also
incomparably
rise
rapidly.
mysterious runes
Kid,
as
you are
it
really
descended from the
abnormal.
sky,
You are
enveloping
actually
Lin
stronger
Xian,
than me.
wanting
The
to
dark red
smash him
dragon
into
was
pieces.
shocked to see
Lin
Lin
Xian
Xian's
stood there with his
power.
hands behind
As
his back,
expected
of
of someone
someone
who had the
smile on
dragon
his
sword
face.
soul and the
He didn't
9
move at
yang
all.
divine body.
He
He
waited
had
until the
improved
palm
more
was
than
right
him.
above his head
One had
before
to
he
know that
raised
he
his
was
hand.
not an ordinary
His hand
dragon.
clenched into
He
a
was a
fist as he
divine
charged
dragon
forward.
with a powerful
Boom.
bloodline.
The two
However,
collided.
Lin Xian
With a
had
deafening
improved more than
sound,
him.
100,000
It was really shocking.
thunder fell
However,
from the sky.
when he thought about
the
the
entire
great dragon
imperial
sword
capital's
soul
array
and the
shone,
9 yang
and
divine
runes
body,
flickered,
he felt
forming
relieved.
a super defense. The terrifying energy bombarded, and the sound of stormy waves
Chapter
could be heard.
2810.
Endless energy
The
waves
cultivators
rushed
around
into
him
the
became
clouds,
excited
tearing
when they
the
saw
sky
this
apart.
scene.
They
Too
had been too
terrifying.
sullen these days.
The surrounding
They were
cultivators
so angry that they
exclaimed in
gnashed
shock.
their teeth. The commotion
The
caused by
geniuses
the
of
two
this
silver
attack
lightning
was too
race,
terrifying.
heavenly dog race,
If there weren't any
and fire
arrays,
cloud
this
race
attack
would come
could
from time to
probably
time.
destroy half
They
of
were
the imperial
extremely
capital.
arrogant, and these
They
people
didn't put
wouldn't be
immortal
able to
palace in
escape
their eyes
either.
at all, and
What
even said
terrifying
all
thunder.
kinds of bad things
Even
about Lin
invincible
Xian.
kings didn't
Now
dare to
that
touch
Lin
it
Xian had come out of seclusion,
the silver runes on
they
the
could
palm were
finally
the
beat up
bloodline
these
power of the
10,000
Silver
ancient
Lightning
races.
clan.
Outside
It was too
Immortal
terrifying.
Palace,
These
many
immemorial
archaic
creatures
creatures
stood in the
unique
void.
advantage.
They were from the Silver
Exclamations
Lightning
could be
race,
heard.
Heavenly Dog
Beside
race,
him,
and
the
Fire
other
Cloud
two
race.
experts from the Silver
Their mission
Lightning
was to
clan
stay
were also
here and
sneering.
As
How
long
dare
as
he
Lin
fight
Xian
with
appeared,
Yifeng?
they would
He
report
was
it
really
to the
courting
geniuses
death.
of their races,
This
and let
time,
their peerless
his arm
geniuses
would probably
come to
kill
be
him.
crippled.
Spread
Not
the
only
news
that,
to the
but
world.
half of his body would
However,
also be
it had been
smashed.
more than a month,
The two of
and
them
the
were
other
very
party hadn't
confident.
come out at all.
The sea of
However,
lightning
they
that
had
filled
plenty
the
of
skies
patience.
slowly disappeared.
Boom.
When the crowd
Suddenly,
saw the situation
in
in
the
the
sky
sea
turned
lightning,
as if
they
someone
were
was
all
about to come
stunned.
out.
Their minds
Seeing
were
this scene,
blank,
the
and their
archaic
eyes were
creatures
wide
all
open
became
in
excited.
disbelief. Could it be that someone was about to appear?
From the
Their
Silver
eyes
Palace
were like
clan
rainbows
who
as they
screamed.
stared ahead.
Impossible.
The array formation
Crazy.
in
They
front
were
of them
all
churned
crazy
as figures
because
walked
they
out
saw
one
Lin
after
Xian
another.
standing there
The
with his
person in
hands
the lead
behind
was
his
a
back,
handsome young
his
man
body
in a red
radiating
robe.
of golden
His
light.
black hair
As
danced
for their
wildly,
companion,
as if he was an immortal.
He was in a very
Beside
sorry
him
state.
followed a dark
The
red
lightning
dragon.
on his body
There were
dimmed,
many
and his
figures
entire
behind him.
arm was
They
deformed.
were all immortal
His
palaces
palm was
cracked.
cultivators. Fresh
It's
blood
that kid.
dyed his body red.
It's that Lin Xian.
Injured
He came
Feng
out.
was actually
He
injured.
finally came out.
Damn it, this
The
is
Silver
impossible.
Lightning Race's experts
I don't believe
cried
it.
out in surprise.
Feng's physique was
They had
so
a grudge
strong,
with Lin
and
Xian,
he even used
so they
his
naturally
bloodline
knew
power.
what he looked like.
This attack should have at
Therefore,
least
when he came out,
seriously injured
they
him.
were the first to discover
If he
him.
was lucky,
The
he could
Heavenly
even
Dog
kill
race
him.
and Fire
But
Cloud
now
races
Feng
archaic
was actually
creatures also
injured,
cried
and
out
his opponent
in
was
surprise.
unharmed.
Was it that
The two
kid?
experts from the
He
Silver
was
Lightning
really
clan
lucky.
went crazy.
Hurry up
They
and
could
send
not
a
accept
message
this
to our
fact.
geniuses. The
The
surrounding
three
warriors
great
also
archaic
sucked
creatures
in a breath
quickly
of
sent
cold
a
air.
message.
The silver palm
That
just
Lin
now
Xian
made
actually
even the
came out.
invincible kings tremble,
5 million
but he
miles
could
away,
easily
a
block
figure
it
soared
and
into
even
the sky.
seriously injure
This
his
person
opponent.
had a human body, a
the
dog
9
head,
young divine
and a pair
body
of wings
is
on his
indeed
back.
powerful.
He was extremely
That's right,
terrifying.
Lin Xian is mighty. He was
What
one of the
Silver
Heavenly
Lightning
Dog
clan?
race's
How
geniuses.
dare you fight with me?
It seems that my
Lin
luck is
Xian
really
in close
good.
combat.
He soared
You're
into
courting
the air.
death.
Countless
Do you know
clouds
what the 9
tumbled
young
beneath his
divine
feet,
body is?
forming a
Lin
large dark
Xian's
cloud
supporters
that carried
began to
him
mock
as he
and
quickly
ridicule.
flew into the distance.
The dark red divine
He was
dragon
extremely
also
arrogant.
sneered.
This
Among
scene
the
was
10,000
extremely
ancient races,
terrifying. There were probably
as for
not
the
many
martial
people who
artists
dared
in
to
the
compete
surrounding
with Lin
millions
Xian
of
in
Li.
terms of physique.
They all noticed
except
this.
for those with
Look, what's
extremely
that?
strong physiques.
How terrifying.
After being
It was a
nourished
dog
by the
demon.
dragon's aura
Are
in
you
the nest
tired
of
of living?
10,000 dragons,
What dog demon?
Lin Xian's
That
9
was an
young
expert
divine
from the
body had
Tiango
reached
clan.
the 5th stage
The Heavenly
of the
Dog
second
race
level.
was a very powerful race among the
Chapter
10,000 ancient races.
2795. They were
Lin
said to be
Xian
able to
retracted
devour
his
the
palm
moon.
and sneered.
If he said the
Is
wrong
this
thing
what you
again,
meant when
he
you
would
said you
lose
wanted
his
to
life.
kill me with a
The
single
Tiango
slap?
clan?
Their
Unfortunately,
prodigies had
you haven't
defeated
eaten
several
for tens
princes
of
of the
thousands
imperial
years.
empires.
Your strength
What were they
is
going to do
pitifully
now?
weak. It was
Why don't I
rumored that
teach
they
you
had
what it
always
means to
been
kill
lingering
someone
around
with
a
a
single
single
slap,
slap?
wanting
At
to
this
challenge
point,
Lin
Lin
Xian.
Xian's eyes
However,
shone with a
Lin
piercing
Xian
light.
never appeared.
His 9 young
Looking at the
divine
other
body
party's
released
anxious
endless
appearance,
light.
could it
And
be that
balls
Lin
of 9
Xian
young
had come out
divine
of
seclusion
seclusion?
surged out,
No, they wanted to
illuminating the
challenge
world.
Lin Xian.
As his voice
Cries
fell,
of
he also
surprise could
raised
be
his
heard.
palm and
Let's
slapped
go and
forward.
take a look.
His
These
palm
people couldn't hold
transformed
it
into
any
a
longer.
huge golden
They
millstone
quickly
that could
soared into the
destroy
sky
everything.
and also flew
Not good.
forward.
In
In
their
their
eyes,
eyes, pupils
Lin
shrank,
Xian was
and
a
the surrounding
godlike
people
existence.
exclaimed.
He was a
The
monument,
expressions of
one of
the
the top
other 2
young
Silver
prodigies.
Lightning race prodigies
However,
changed
there was no
drastically.
news of him before,
This palm
which
was too
shocked
terrifying. The
The
ancient
two of them
creatures
turned
said
into
that
a
Lin
gust of
Xian
wind
was afraid
and rushed
and
forward.
didn't dare to come out.
They came in front of
However,
Feng and
these
fought
human
against him.
powerhouses didn't
There was
believe
an
it,
earth-shattering
especially
bang.
those who
The
had
3
experienced
Silver
the
Lightning
nest
race
of
prodigies were
10,000
forced
dragons,
back,
and their blood was boiling.
Feng
Back
was
then,
even more
it was
affected
Lin
by the
Xian who
impact
split
of the
the
energy.
nest of
He
10,000
cried
dragons
out and
open
spat
with a
out blood
single
again.
sword strike
Lin
and
Xian
saved
looked at
everyone.
them and sneered.
That was something that
Right.
even the
Can't bear
sacred
it anymore?
leaders and sect
Finally,
masters couldn't
the
do.
3 of you want to
How
attack
could such
together?
a person be afraid?
Come on, don't
There
waste
must
my
be
time.
another reason.
Lin Xian
From the
waved
looks
his
of it,
hand,
the other
looking
party
impatient.
was really going
This
to come
scene
out.
made the 3
That's
Silver
right.
Lightning
The
race
one who came out
prodigies
this time
gnash
was
their
Lin
teeth
Xian.
in anger.
He walked
When
out
had
of
they
the
ever
array
been looked down
formation
upon
and
like
looked
this?
around. The surrounding
Soon,
Lin
he
Xian
saw
supporters
7 or 8
also went
ancient
crazy
creatures
with mockery.
nearby.
Hey,
However,
what
he didn't care
10,000
at all.
ancient races?
Although these
3
ancient
against
creatures
1?
were powerful,
Do you have any
in his
shame?
eyes,
They
that's
were
right.
similar to ants.
You were so arrogant
He knew
before,
that this shouldn't
saying
be a
that you could
genius
kill
from
our
the
god Lin
10,000
Xian with a
ancient
single
races.
slap.
Why
You're
don't
that
you
Lin
try it
Xian?
now? The
Give
ancient
them a
creature
chance.
from the Tiango race
Even if the
walked
3
up
of them
and
fight
shouted
against one,
coldly.
they won't be a
Lin
match for
Xian
Lin
stood
Xian.
with his hands behind
These
his
people
back
sneered
and
again
ignored
and
him.
again.
Beside
The
him,
3 Silver
Hu Yidao
Lightning
stood
race
out.
prodigies
Who
were
do you
about
think
to
you are?
vomit blood.
How dare you
Among
speak
them,
to our
Feng
hall master?
gritted his teeth.
Get lost. The two
As
of
he
you
spoke,
don't
his
make a
saber
move.
flew out. out. Let me deal with him personally. The ancient creature from the Tiango race was filled with killing intent. He also stretched out his claw, of lightning and it was like a mountain that pressed down. And his broken arm the two collided, causing the sky to collapse and the earth to have learned an ancient body energy surged. The ancient creature from the Tiango race was forced back. Hu Yidao had heard of the power of the nine-yang divine body. Let your peerless prodigy come out. It was a technique that had been passed down for a long time. Master. Don't worry, today is the day you die. Nodded. My day he was death? Indeed careless. What arrogant words. He didn't expect the other party to have cultivated the unparalleled nine-yang divine physique. Dark clouds gathered. But so what? Immediately
Apart from
after
close combat,
he had plenty of other methods and divine abilities.
It was the young prodigy of the Tiango race.
Bolts of the nine
the moment
Yangs.
he appeared,
The moment
he was like
the silver
an
knife
ancient
appeared,
demonic
it
mountain
emitted
that
a biting,
froze the
cold
sky.
blade light
The
that
aura of the
illuminated
entire
nine
world
heavens
seemed
and
to have
10
solidified,
earths, causing
the pressure
everyone's
made it
bodies to
difficult
tremble
for
as if
everyone
they
to
would
breathe.
be cut in half at
Formless
any moment.
power surged
What a
downwards,
terrifying
rushing
blade.
towards Lin
That was a
Xian
treasure,
and the others,
treasure,
intending to crush them.
Those
Not
older
good.
generation figures
Hu Yidao
also
and the
exclaimed.
others' expressions
There was
changed.
no need to even
That
think about
aura
it.
was too
These
terrifying.
ancient life
They
forms
had to
were
admit that
definitely
the other
taking out
party was
ancient
indeed
treasures.
terrifying.
Lin
was a
Xian
resolve.
snorted coldly and
It wasn't
continued
over
to
yet.
stand with his hands
Then
behind his
a ray
back.
of light shot
A
out
piercing
from
light
Yifeng's
burst out from
forehead,
his eyes,
turning into a
forming
silver
two
mountain
sword
that
lights
floated
that
above his
flashed
head.
forward. The
They
silver
met the
mountain
attack
was
head-on and
incomparably
directly
majestic,
shattered the pressure.
emitting a terrifying
You're the prodigy
aura.
of the Tiango
Thousands
race?
of rays of light
Lin Xian
shrouded
looked at the other
Yifeng.
party and
Boom,
asked coldly.
boom.
He had to
This
confirm
silver
the other
mountain
party's
was too
identity.
terrifying.
If he was a
As
piece
soon
of
as it
trash,
appeared,
he wouldn't be
the surrounding
worthy of his
space
attack.
quickly collapsed.
That's
and
right.
Countless
I'm the
large
prodigy
cracks
of the
spread
Tiango
in
race.
all directions.
Xiao Yu.
The surrounding
You better remember
prodigies
this.
were also
Kid,
suppressed to
I
the
didn't
point
expect
that they
you to
could
dare
breathe.
to come out.
How
I
terrifying!
thought you would be a coward for the
Yifeng
rest of your
actually
life.
took out two ancient
Xiao Yu looked
treasures
at Lin
in an
Xian
instant
and sneered.
Lin Xian
Why
was
wouldn't I
probably
dare to
danger.
come out?
Kid,
Do
go
you
to hell.
think that you can scare
Yifeng
me with just
snorted
you alone?
coldly. Lin Xian
He
sneered
waved
in
his
disdain,
hand, and the silver
Come on,
knife flew
I'll
out.
kill you today
Although
and
it
eat
was
your dog
small,
meat.
It was
Hearing
extremely
this,
sharp.
the martial artists
It
of
pierced
Immortal
through the
Palace
void
all
in an
laughed
instant.
excitedly.
How terrifying! It can already threaten a
The
mid-stage
ninjas of the
nine-star
Tiango
king.
race were
I
so
wonder if
angry
Lin
that they
Xian's
vomited
nine
blood.
young divine body
Especially
can withstand
Xiao
it?
Yu, whose
Sensing
face
the
was
silver
gloomy.
flying dagger,
You're courting
Lin
death.
Xian frowned
A
as well.
palm came down
It
like
was
a
indeed
mountain,
terrifying.
pressing down from
It
the sky.
reminded him of Li
He was
Shu and
furious
Xian's
that the
little
other
Li
party
flying
dared
dagger.
to provoke him.
However,
He
it
swore
was
that
still
he would teach
slightly
the other
inferior
party a
to the
lesson.
little Li flying
The sky
dagger.
broke open,
In the
and
next
the
moment, he
terrifying
would
palm
use his
rolled.
fist.
A mountain
Heaven
fell from the
battling
sky.
divine fist.
This scene,
Boom. It
Boom.
happened to be
Boom.
seen by the human
golden
martial
fist
artists
shook
who
heaven
rushed
and earth,
over from
and a
afar.
sonorous
Those
sound
human
echoed in the
martial
sky.
artists cried out
The
in
silver
surprise.
knife was sent
It was an
flying,
expert of the
dancing
Tiango
wildly
race.
in the sky.
It was him.
However,
He was
it soon
Xiao Yu.
circled again
He had
under
already
the control
defeated
of
3
Yifeng.
saints. Kid, you're
His
dead.
strength was
You
terrifying.
won't be able to block my knife. It was actually
The
him.
silver knife in the
He
sky
was from the
suddenly
Tiango race,
enlarged,
turning
extremely
into a giant
terrifying
knife
prodigy.
that slashed down. Its sharpness also became stronger and stronger. Not good.
Chapter
I didn't use my
28:11.
full strength before.
These human warriors
this silver
had
knife
also
is
started
probably
to use
more
the title
powerful
of
than we
Archean
imagined.
power.
The
Moreover,
expressions on the
they now
faces
knew
of
what
the older
20,000
generation
Archean
changed.
power meant.
Even Lin
Among the
Xian's
younger
supporters
generation,
gasped in shock.
they represented
Great
the
God, Lin
pinnacle
Xian,
of
be
existence.
careful. One
Lin
had to know
Xian
that an
also
ordinary
frowned.
saint only
Indeed,
had
its
17,000
power was
to
much stronger than
17,000
before.
Archean power. With a
20,000
cold snort,
it definitely
endless sword
surpassed
chi
an
rushed out of his
ordinary
body.
saint.
It was
A saint
densely
could easily
packed like a
kill
rain
an
of
ordinary
swords.
saint.
In the next
Looking
moment,
at the claw
it
descending
collided
from the
with
sky.
the terrifying
Lin
silver
Xian's
knife.
eyes shone
A
with a cold
sonorous
light.
sound rang out.
Lin
and
Xian
the silver
stretched
knife
out a
was
finger
sent
and
flying
pointed
once
forward.
again. As he pointed forward, his golden finger shone with an unparalleled
silver
light.
lightning experts
It carried
were
a
stunned.
terrifying sword
Yifeng's
chi and
expression
shot
froze.
straight into the sky.
He couldn't believe it.
Courting death. In the next moment,
Seeing
he wanted
this,
to roar.
Xiao Yu was
but soon
enraged.
he began to
He
tremble.
grabbed at his opponent
Lin
with one
Xian
hand.
waved his arm.
He was
and
already
the sword
arrogant
chi
enough.
between heaven
However,
and earth
his
flew
opponent
toward
was
him.
even more
They
arrogant
collided
than
with
him.
the silver mountain.
He directly
making a
stretched out a
sonorous
finger
sound.
to fight against
Damn
him.
it, block it.
Who was he?
Don't worry,
He was a
can't
prodigy
break
of the
through
heavenly
Yifeng's
dog
defense.
race.
Behind
He was
him,
so powerful
the two
that no
silver
one
lightning
dared to
experts
underestimate
sneered.
him.
However,
Therefore, he
their
roared
smiles
angrily.
soon became
The
firm.
power on his
Because
palm
in their
increased
eyes,
again.
the silver
With an
mountain that they were
unparalleled
so
momentum,
confident in
he
was
crushed
pierced
down.
by tens of
Since
thousands
his
of
opponent
swords,
looked down on
and
him,
large
he would
holes
kill
appeared
him in
one
one
after
blow.
another.
It's
Facing
just
the
a dog
enormous
treasure.
power, Lin
How
Xian
dare
was
you
not
act
afraid.
so arrogantly
His
in front of
finger
me?
continued to shine
Lin
as he
Xian burst
pointed
out with a
forward.
biting cold
However,
light.
the
He had
power was
already
also
arrived
stronger
in front
than
of
before.
Yifeng.
A
Holding a
dragon's
sword
roar
chi
erupted
erupted
from
from
his
his
finger.
finger.
He slashed down
It
from
turned
the sky.
into a giant
With a
dragon
slash
and
of
shot
his
up
sword,
90,000
he split
miles.
the silver mountain in
Boom.
half. There was an
What?
earth-shattering
How is this
collision.
possible?
This time,
Not only
it
did the
directly
directly pierced through the giant other palm immemorial in the sky. Creatures blood also splattered all over the sky as they just happened to see the cracks appeared, and their scalps went numb from fear. He could not believe that his silver lightning lightning was powerful. Especially Yin Feng, this kid was who was even more terrifying. His face was ugly. However, his Dharma treasure was actually split in half by a single slash of his sword. Even more terrifying. Who exactly was this human youth? It was like the palm of an Archean demonic beast. Their gazes were all fixed on Lin Xian. It stretched out from the sky. The human warriors who were watching the battle from afar were shocked. At this moment, many people were sent flying by this aura. Some even fell to the ground.
It was too terrifying.
The sword light slashed
as
down,
expected,
and his
of the
arm was
central
directly
emperor.
sent flying.
Those Archean demonic beasts
wildly.
roared crazily.
The pain brought
Kill
him
him.
back to reality.
They must kill him.
Damn it.
Looking at this
He
scene,
realized that
Lin
there were
Xian's
more than a
eyes
dozen
shone with a
piercing
cold
sword
light.
lights coming
He
down from
clenched
above.
his left fist
He
and
was
punched
scared out of his wits.
It was like
and
a
he quickly
blazing
dodged.
sun. However,
Boom.
how could he
This
dodge?
punch directly
Soon,
blew up
his
the other
body
party's
was cut
palm
into
once
pieces.
again. The sea of blood in the
Yin
sky
Feng
surged,
screamed,
and
his
miserable
body
cry
reassembled
rang
in the
out.
distance.
Xiao Yu
His
roared
face was
furiously
pale,
in the sky,
and his face was
How
filled with
despicable.
malevolence.
2 moves.
I want you dead.
2 of his palms were smashed apart by the other party.
Chapter 27.
Aside from the pain,
what he
the
felt
silver
was
saber
even more
also
unbearable.
flew into his hand.
Shame.
Kill me?
Shame.
I'm
This
afraid
was
you
his
don't have
greatest
that
shame.
ability.
Shame.
Lin
Ever
Xian
since he made
snorted
his
coldly,
debut, he
and
had
the sword
easily
chi on
killed
his body
3
became
prodigies
more and more
saints,
piercing,
which made him
he
think
struck
that there
out
were
with
not
the
many
ancient
humans
dragon
who could be his
sword,
match,
which was
but
surrounded
now
by
he had
countless
suffered 2
dragon-shaped
losses
auras.
at the hands of the
With
other
a
party.
slash of the sword,
This was
the silver
unbearable for
saber
him.
was once again
Brat, you've
sent
angered
flying.
me.
I
Yin
will
Feng
definitely
was even
kill you.
split into 2 halves.
Xiao Yu's voice was
This
cold.
scene caused
A
everyone to be
terrifying
stupefied.
aura was emitted from his
Especially
body.
those archaic
It was
creatures.
like a vast
Their
ocean that
faces were
shattered the
filled
void.
with shock.
A terrifying
This person
light
was too
descended from the
powerful.
sky.
Who
intending
exactly
to
was he?
destroy all
A terrifying
traces of the world.
physique and terrifying
Xiao Yu
sword
did not
technique.
hold back in this attack.
Damn it!
And
How
its
could he
might
have
caused
such
the expressions of many figures
These
of the
people
older
exclaimed
generation
in
to
shock.
change drastically.
At this moment,
the
Yin
faces
Feng
of the human
screamed in the
race
sky.
experts also
His
changed.
2 halves turned
They
into
started
streams
to worry
of light
for Lin
and kept
Xian.
fleeing.
In the
Damn
distance,
it, you dare
the
to kill me?
archaic life forms
He realized
roared
that
wildly.
Lin Xian didn't
This
stop
was a
at all.
killing move.
The piercing
Previously,
cold sword
it was
light
this
once
move
again
that Xiao Yu
enveloped him.
easily defeated
So
the
what if
other
I kill
3
you?
sons. Lin Xian's
Therefore,
voice was
in
cold.
their view,
Lin
I'm a
Xian
genius
similarly
of the silver
could not
lightning
block
race.
this move.
If you
But
kill
very
me,
unfortunately,
the silver lightning
this
race
time,
won't let you
they
off.
guessed wrong.
Yin Feng
Facing this
screamed.
terrifying
He
attack,
couldn't believe
Lin
that a
Xian
human
was
dared to
fearless.
kill him.
He did
The
not
other
dodge
2
at all.
geniuses of the
Directly
silver
reaching
lightning
out his
race
palm
also
and grabbing
shouted
over.
angrily.
This
Damn
time,
brat,
his palm
stop it
also
now.
became
You're dead
infinitely
meat.
large.
If
As
you
if it
dare to
became
kill
a world,
him, the silver
enveloping
lightning
all
race will
things.
tear you into pieces. The 2 of them rushed
In
forward,
the center of his
wanting
palm,
to save Yin Feng.
the sun,
Lin
moon,
Xian
and
stretched out
stars
his
revolved,
left hand,
as if
which
it was
turned
a real
into a
starry
golden
sky
mountain that
universe.
descended from the sky.
These were all evolved
directly
from the
blocking
great
the
path
path
of the
sword
2
soul,
geniuses
carrying
of the silver
an
lightning
extremely
race.
powerful
At the
spiritual
same
energy
time,
aura.
the ancient
Directly
dragon
obliterating
sword
Xiao
Xiao
Yu's
Yu's
attack
quickly slashed
Not
out.
only that,
The
this
sword
palm
pierced
even
through the other
enveloped
party's
Xiao Yu.
head. The power
It
of
was
the
broken.
great dragon sword
Was its
so
soul
easy
destroyed
to
the other
break it?
party's soul?
Those archaic life
With a
forms
scream,
were stunned.
the 2 halves
Especially
of the
the Tiango
corpse
race
fell to the
archaic
ground,
life forms.
no longer breathing.
Their faces
This
were
scene
full of
caused
horror,
everyone to
not
be staring
stupefied.
to believe it.
The entire
That was their
scene was
ultimate
silent.
killing move,
Those
and it was
archaic
actually
creatures
broken
were
so
also
easily
shocked and couldn't believe
Who
it.
the hell was this brat?
The 2
On
silver
the human
lightning
side,
race powerhouses
everyone cried
roared
out
crazily.
wildly.
As
Their
expected
comrade
of the
was
central
actually
emperor,
dead,
too
killed by a
terrifying.
human.
It was not
This was
something those
they
saints
didn't
could
dare
compare
to
to
imagine.
imagine.
One had to know
when
that they were
Xiao Yu defeated
geniuses
the
of
other
the
3
silver lightning
saints,
race
they
from the
also
10,000
saw the battle.
archaic races.
At that time,
when they first
they reckoned that there
even
were
the divine
probably not
Wen
many
dynasty
people who
didn't
could
dare
defeat
to provoke
Xiao Yu.
them and
Even if
respectfully
they
invited
could,
them in.
it would be very
in their
difficult.
eyes, no
But
one in the
now,
world
the
dared to
shock
kill
that Lin
them.
Xian had
But
given
now,
them was simply
this kid
too
in
much.
front of them had no
He easily
scruples
broke
and
the other
directly
party's
killed their
killing
companion.
move.
He
How
even
dare
trapped
they?
the other party
Was he
in his
not
palm.
afraid of the silver lightning clan's
Lin Xian's
revenge?
5 fingers
Madman.
closed,
This
and the
kid
moon
is a
and
madman.
stars
The
revolved,
2 geniuses
obliterating
of the silver
everything,
lightning
wanting
race
to kill
roared
Xiao
madly.
Yu.
Kill
Xiao
him
Yu's
together and
pupils
avenge
constricted,
Yin Feng.
and his face was
The
full
2
of
of them
shock.
roared angrily,
Impossible,
releasing
damn it,
terrifying
this
attacks
is
that shook the
impossible.
golden palm.
How can the other
golden
party be
palm
so
released
powerful?
a rumbling sound
Damn it,
as
I
it was
don't
pushed
believe it.
aside.
Get lost.
The 2 of them charged
He
over,
roared, and the
but
2
soon
pairs of
they
white
were
wings on
scared
his
out of
back
their
spread
wits.
out,
The
transforming
sword
into
slashed
2
out,
heavenly
like
blades,
the roar of a
slashing in
peerless
all
giant
directions.
dragon, enveloping
Those
them.
white wings were
Damn
very
it,
strange,
it was
and
only
there were
now
white
that they
runes on
realized
them.
how
At that
powerful his
moment,
sword chi
they
was.
were incomparably
No wonder
flickering,
Yin Feng was
and their
killed.
power was
It
much
was
more
too
terrifying than a
It
heaven-grade
was hard
treasure.
to imagine that
Get
a young
lost.
man could
With a roar,
unleash such
the
a
white
shocking
wings
sword
slashed
aura.
the world.
Damn it!
But they could
What
not
kind of
cut
swordsmanship marksmanship is he practicing? The pair of them didn't slashed on the palm. However, and they didn't have much time to think. Countless cracks in the void were cut open, and spat out a silver shield in front of him. Lin Xian's palm. The other person turned into a bolt of lightning and quickly dodged. It made the archaic creatures even crazier. The silver shield on the side of the human race. They were also stunned. A huge crack appeared on the body of the silver lightning clan's prodigy, and his internal organs were exposed. And stars were obliterated and screamed in pain. And miserable cries could be heard. His legs were cut off by the sword light, and blood flowed
Miserable
wildly.
cries could be heard.
All the martial
and blood
artists in the
rain
royal
fell from the
capital
sky,
who were watching the
flowing
battle
down
were
from the
stunned.
gaps of the huge palm,
He injured
piercing
two
through the
prodigies
void.
of the Silver Lightning Clan
He was
with a
injured.
single sword strike.
Seeing this scene,
Powerful,
the
he
human
was too
race
powerful.
experts exclaimed,
Could it be that
and the
Lin
archaic
Xian
creatures
creatures were
were full
shocked,
strength when he
especially
killed
those
Yin
from the heavenly
Yes,
dog race?
that must be
They
it.
were screaming crazily.
Lin Xian was too
Damned
mighty.
brat,
As
let go of our
expected of the
prodigies.
Central Emperor,
You dare to
the
hurt
top
him,
prodigy
you're
of the
dead.
human race. These
The
people
faces
roared,
of
but
the
it was
older
still
generation
useless.
were also
in the
filled
sky,
with astonishment.
The blood rain
Damn it,
became
who was this
more and
kid?
more terrifying.
They had to find out
Those
his
drops
identity.
of blood were
The
directly
Archean
collected by the dark
faces
red
were
divine
gloomy.
dragon below.
The other party was too powerful and posed a great threat to them.
This was the blood
They had
of
to
an
find
archaic
out who the
creature,
other party
and it
was,
contained a
what kind of
strange
swordsmanship
energy,
he used,
so he naturally
and what
would
his
not
background
let it go.
was.
Should
Shall
they
you
save
also
the two
let out a shrill
prodigies
cry?
of the Silver Lightning
Damn
Clan?
kid, you dare to
One
kill
of the
me.
Archean creatures
His body
asked
had been
in a
shattered
deep voice.
dozens of times.
This
and
Archean
after
creature had
reassembling,
strange
it would be
patterns that
obliterated
crawled by
all
the
over
sun,
his body,
moon,
and
especially
stars.
the two sides
Now,
of his cheeks.
he was finally
They were
afraid.
Because
His
very
soul
strange,
was also
and it
beginning
made
to be
people who
attacked.
saw it feel their
If
hair
his soul
stand
was
on end.
obliterated,
The
then
young
he
man
would
in
really
front of
be
him
dead.
was the same.
He never
but his
thought
aura
that the
was
other
stronger
party
than
would
his.
really dare to kill
the
him.
young man shook his
He was
head.
not an
Don't
ordinary
panic.
archaic creature,
Let's wait and
but
see.
one of the peerless
The two
geniuses
prodigies
of the
should be able
heavenly
to hold
dog
on
race.
for a while.
Moreover,
If we saved
what
them at the
frightened
most
him was that
critical
even
moment,
with his
the
20,000
Silver Lightning
archaic
Clan
power,
will do us a favor.
he could not fight back in
The
front of the
Archean
other party.
creature behind nodded. His eyes flashed with a shocking light, and he was ready to save them at any
Chapter
time.
28:12.
They thought that the two prodigies of the Silver Lightning
life
Clan
was in
could
danger.
hold on for a while,
The surrounding
but they
few
realized
heaven
that
old
they were
race
wrong.
creatures also
The
had
two
a change in
prodigies of the
expression
Silver
and
Lightning
hurriedly
Clan
went up
were
to save
defeated.
him.
They
had
had
no
transformed
choice.
into terrifying
Firstly,
light and
Lin
rushed
Xian
up.
was too powerful.
In an instant,
Secondly,
they arrived
they were
beside
too
this
shocked,
large palm,
and their minds were
These
still
three
blank.
heaven-old race
Therefore,
creatures
they
roared
were
and
soon
transformed
seriously
into
injured.
their main bodies.
Their bodies had
Three
even
heavenly
recombined
hounds,
5 times.
each body was
This
1,000
made their
feet
faces
long,
pale,
blotting
and
out
the
the
power
sky
in their
and
bodies
covering
was
the sun,
quickly draining
roaring
away.
crazily.
Oh no, let's
One
go.
head after another
The two
bared
of them
fangs
screamed
and brandished
They were
claws,
too careless.
biting towards
They had
Lin
to go
Xian's
back and
palm,
report to the
wanting to tear
prodigies
him
of the
apart
clan
and
so that they
save
could
Hao
kill the
Moon.
detestable
These
kid
three
in front
heads
of them.
were too ferocious.
You want to leave?
When combined,
Lin Xian
the
used
power
the
was
Yin
very
8 steps.
terrifying. In
His
an
speed
instant,
was
they
extremely
bit onto the
fast,
large palm
and he
that
directly
blotted out
blocked
the
the
sky.
path of the two
Between
prodigies.
heaven and earth,
Damn it, let's
rumbling
split up and
sounds
run.
emitted.
The
The two
surrounding
prodigies
void
of the
was
Silver
shattering.
Lightning Clan
Bang,
roared
bang.
and ran in the opposite
palm in the
direction.
sky vibrated,
No matter how
directly
fast the other
shattering
party
the
was,
three heads.
they didn't believe
Those
that he
three
could
heads
stop
were
the
torn
two of them.
apart,
Blood
However,
splattering
they were
wildly.
still thinking too much.
Following that,
Lin
three
Xian
corpses
waved his
fell
hand,
from the sky,
and the dragon sword domain
flew out.
The Silver
Turning
Lightning
into a
race,
sword dragon.
Fire Cloud
It
races,
surged
ancient
in the
creatures
sky
were
and
shocked,
directly
opening
enveloped
their
one of the
eyes
prodigies
wide in
of the
disbelief.
Silver Lightning Clan.
Three heavenly
He, on the
race
other
creatures
hand,
were
was
actually
blocking the
killed
path
in an
of another
instant.
genius.
Furthermore,
What last
it was
words
not
do
a
you
full
have?
powered attack at all.
Lin Xian looked
Just
at the
a
other
palm
party
vibration
and said
and they
coldly,
were killed.
"Damn kid,
Damn it,
how dare you kill
who
me?"
in the world was that
The Silver
kid in the
Lightning
sky?
Clan. What
Before
extent
he
did his
could finish,
strength reach?
blood
They
spurted
did not
out from
dare
between
to
his
imagine.
eyebrows,
The
and his
human
body's
race's
split in half.
powerhouses were also
His
stunned.
soul was destroyed
Looking
by
at
the
the
sword.
scene, their faces
This
were
scene
full of
shocked
shock.
everyone.
Why
The
do I feel that
expressions
his
of the
strength
Archean
became
creatures
stronger
also
again?
changed
That's
drastically.
right, he was really
It was
too
too
strong
fast and too
We
decisive.
were still worried
The other
previously.
party killed them
Looks
with a
like our
single
worries
sword
were
strike,
really
leaving
unnecessary.
them no chance to
Most
attack
likely,
at all.
no one could
Hurry
block
up and
more
save
than a
the
few
last
moves
one.
from a central
The young
emperor.
Archean
These
creature
people had a
spoke.
new understanding of
Immediately,
Lin
the
Xian's
two
strength.
figures behind
In
him
the
rushed
sky,
out,
Hao
wanting to
Moon's
save the
miserable
last
cries
prodigy of
continued
the
to
Silver
sound.
Lightning Clan.
But not long
This
later,
was originally
it
their
dissipated
plan.
into thin air.
If they could do the
The
Silver
large
Lightning
palm
Clan
that
a
blotted
favor,
out the
why
sky
not?
slowly opened.
However,
they
they
didn't
didn't
expect
fell
Lin
down,
Xian's
falling
sword
into
chi to be
pieces.
so fierce.
It was precisely Hao Moon's corpse.
Chapter
His soul had long
2797.
been obliterated.
Save me.
His blood was
The
even
last
collected
Silver
by the
Lightning
dark
Clan
red
genius
divine
was
dragon.
shrouded by the dragon
Finally,
sword
the
domain.
dark red divine
He was
dragon's
also
dragon
retreating in
claw
defeat
reached
as
out and
countless
brought Hao
sword chi
Moon's
pierced
corpse
through
away
his body.
too. There was
Tonight,
no other way.
we'll eat dog
These
meat.
sword chi
The current
contained the
Hao
power
Moon
of the
already
dragon's
revealed
sword
his
soul.
true form.
How could
he
It was
resist
a very massive
but
heavenly
fortunately,
hound.
he saw
That
the other
volume
two
was like a
ancient
small
creatures
mountain.
coming to save him.
However, he
In
was
front of
very
the dark
clear
red
about
dragon,
these two ancient
he was like an
creatures.
ant.
They were
He
from
was
the
caught by
ancient
the
demon
dragon
spider
and put
clan.
away.
Their
Immortal
strength was
palaces
very
cultivators
terrifying,
cheered
not
crazily.
weaker than the Silver
This
Lightning
was
clan.
too great.
In fact,
They were going
a
to
little
eat dog
stronger.
meat. It was said that
with
the
the help
heavenly
of the
dog
other
meat
party,
was
he
very
would
nutritious.
definitely be saved.
Hallmaster,
Sure
give
enough,
me a few
the
more
two ancient
spirit herbs
creatures
to make
opened
the
their
heavenly
mouths
dog
and
soup.
spat out
It will
white
taste
spider
even
webs.
better. covering
Tonight,
the sky
I'll
and the
drink
earth,
heavenly dog
enveloping
soup.
the dragon sword
Lin
domain,
Xian laughed
trying
loudly.
to bind it.
The immortal palace
no,
cultivators
it's the
behind
ancient
him
demon
became
spider
even
clan.
more excited.
On the human
The
side,
surrounding people
some of the
were
older
all
generation
stunned.
figures
Just
also
like that,
screamed.
a genius
the
of the ancient
spider
race was
clan
killed.
was very
It was
terrifying.
unbelievable.
It was rumored
Originally,
that they had the
they thought
bloodline
that
of
this
the
would be an
heavenly demon
intense
spider.
battle. A
It was
fierce
rumored
struggle
that their
between
spider
two
webs
giants
were very hard.
However,
and
that
even
was
the
not
top
the case
magic
at all.
treasures and
As
heaven-grade
Lin Xian
weapons
spoke
could
and
not
laughed,
cut them
he
open.
killed the other
If
party
bound
with
by
ease.
this magic treasure,
Geniuses from
even
your
an
two
invincible
races,
king
are you
would
coming
not
or
be
not?
able to escape.
If you don't come,
What?
I'll go
So
back and eat
terrifying.
heavenly dog meat.
Damn it!
Is
the
Suchin then
ancient
looked
demon
at the
spider
fire
clan
cloud tribe
also going
and
to
the
make a
silver
move?
lightning tribe?
Won't Lin Xian
Immediately,
be in danger?
the ancient life forms
Many
of the
people
two
began to
races
worry
began
about
to
Lin
tremble.
Xian. Their eyes were filled
Lin
with
Xian
fear.
snorted
Brat,
coldly,
you're too
and the dragon
arrogant.
sword domain
Today,
in the distance
I will kill you.
suddenly erupted.
Thunder rumbled
It shattered
between
the
heaven
white spider
and earth,
king spat out
following
by the
that
ancient demon spider
10,000
above.
bolts of divine
Then he
lightning
burst
descended.
out an unparalleled
A figure
sword
carrying
chi
the power
and pierced
of wind
the body
and
of the
thunder
last
quickly
silver lightning
charged
clan
over.
genius.
It was the silver
His body
lightning
was
tribe's
torn to
genius,
pieces,
and his
when
soul
the human
was
cultivators in the
destroyed.
distance saw this scene,
They
the
cried
silver
out
lightning
in
race's
alarm.
prodigy let out a blood-curdling scream and
This was
vanished
because
into thin
only
air.
the silver lightning
The two
tribe could
experts of the
control
Archean
such
demon
terrifying
spider clan
thunder.
who had rushed
When the
over
ancient
were also
life forms
stunned.
of the silver
Their
lightning tribe
faces
saw
were
this
gloomy
scene,
and
they
terrifying.
cried out in alarm.
Dead. The last
They had
silver
never
lightning
felt as
clan member
complicated
was
as
also
today.
dead.
This was
made
because
their
in the
rescue
past,
plan
when their
completely
geniuses
fail.
arrived,
Damn
they would
kid,
definitely
how dare you
cheer.
kill him?
This
Their
was because
eyes were
they
like
knew
lightning,
that those human
staring
sense
at
were
Lin
dead
Xian.
meat.
But
In an
this
instant,
time,
the
they were
void
worried
around
for their
Lin Xian
geniuses.
shattered.
The
The
strength
strength
that
that
the
the
other
other
party
party
had
had
displayed
displayed
was
was
divine
too
arrows.
terrifying. It was
They wanted to
bottomless.
pierce through him.
In the sea of
Lin
lightning,
Xian's long
a figure
sword
bathed
swept
in it.
horizontally.
He was
directly
directly
sending
sending
the
the two
tribe's
gazes
genius
flying.
Lei
In the
Haoqian.
next moment,
Buzz,
the dragon
suddenly,
sword's spiritual
heaven and
domain
earth trembled.
enlarged in the sky.
Rolling flames
floating
turned
above the
into a
heads of
sea
the
of
two
fire
ancient
that spread
demon
in all
spiders.
directions.
What do you want to
A
die
figure
to?
descended from
Lin
the sky,
Xian looked at the other
carrying
party.
boundless divine
He did not have a
flames,
good impression
distorting
of
the
these
entire
ancient
void.
creatures.
The
The
other
other
party
party
was
tribe's
too
genius
arrogant
was
and
also
insolent.
here.
How
Everyone
could Lin
cried
Xian
out
be
in
willing
alarm
to
again.
accept the fact that
This
they were
time,
all
it was
treated
the
as
Fire
slaves?
Cloud tribe's
It was no
genius,
longer
Hua
the
Ling.
primordial era.
She was a woman
These
wearing a
primordial
red
life
dress.
forms did
Her
not have
figure
the
was
right
hot,
to be
and
arrogant
her
in
face
front
was
of him.
beautiful. You
Her
dare to
fiery
attack
red
us?
hair reached her
You're
shoulders,
courting death.
and there was a
The
sharp
two
aura
ancient
between
demon
her brows.
spiders were enraged.
Although she was beautiful,
the one on the left
no one
stretched
dared
out
to
a palm with a
underestimate her,
terrifying pattern
because
on
she
it
was also
and
a
grabbed
famous
down from
heaven's
the sky.
favorite. On his
Five
right,
saints had
he
already
pointed
been
his finger
defeated
at
by
Lin
her.
Xian's glabella.
It could even be said that
it was
the
as if his
strength of these
entire
two
body
people
was
was
a
even
sword.
more terrifying
Since you
than
want to
Xiao
die,
Yu.
I'll
The
fulfill
ancient
your
life
wish.
forms of the two
Lin
tribes
Xian's
hurriedly
expression was
transmitted what had
ice-cold.
happened to their
The
genius's
ancient
dragon
dragon
abyss
them
sword
not
in his
to
hand
act rashly.
emitted a blinding
After Lei
light as he
Haoqian and Hua
slashed
Ling
forward.
or heard
Boom,
this,
boom.
they also
The
frowned.
ancient sword
A trace
waved,
of shock
and the
even
dragon
appeared in their
sword
eyes.
chi danced.
Xiao Yu
The
had been
entire
killed?
void was
How was that
completely torn
possible?
apart. They did
In the
not
next
dare
moment,
to believe
the
that the
three
other
people's
party was a
attacks
genius
collided
with
in the
similar
sky.
strength as them.
An extremely
He had many
resplendent
trump
light
cards
burst
and
forth
terrifying
as waves
bloodline
of
power.
energy surged
How
in
could he
all
have been
directions.
killed? They
Boom.
could not believe
the
it at all.
terrifying energy
They
was
even
vast
suspected
and mighty.
that their subordinates
A
had
strange
fallen
rune
into
appeared
an
on
illusion.
Lin Xian's body,
Therefore,
and there
the
was
silver
no
lightning
need to dodge
tribe's
at all.
genius,
The
Lei
energy
Haoqian,
only made a
snorted
thunderous
coldly
sound
and
on his
walked out.
body and
Kid,
could not hurt
I don't
him.
know what method you used to
However,
make my subordinates
the other two
fall
experts
into an
of the
illusion.
ancient demon
But
spider
today,
clan
you
kept
can't escape
retreating.
death. They
You
retreated
dared to
more
kill
than
my
10
silver
steps in a
lightning
row
tribe
before they
martial
stopped.
artists in public.
Damn it. You
Their
can't escape
faces
death.
were full of shock.
What last words
Their
do you
fists
have?
and fingers
Leave
were
them all.
directly cut
Lei
off,
Haoqian
and
stood out.
blood dripped down.
Lightning surged
piercing
on his
through the
body,
void.
piercing
When the
through all
surrounding
directions.
martial artists saw
The
this
silver
scene,
lightning
they
tribe's
exclaimed,
ancient life forms
so
quickly
powerful.
advised.
Lin
But Lei
Xian was
Haoqian
too
did
terrifying.
not believe them at all.
The two ancient
In his
demon
opinion,
spiders attacked,
these people
but
had
they were
all
helpless
fallen
and were
into an
injured
illusion.
instead.
The human
Even
race
the other
martial
Archean
artists
life
in the
forms
distance
were shocked
sighed.
by this scene.
It was
over.
Was this the strength of the Central Emperor?
Too confident.
He actually did
when
not
did the
believe
human
his
race
subordinates.
become so powerful?
It seemed that this
What
time
had they
the other
experienced
party
in the
was
past
dead for sure
10,000
too.
years?
Yes,
They gritted
although
their
this Lei
teeth,
Hao
and the
was
leading
stronger
young
than
man
Xiao Yu.
also
He
frowned.
probably only
He
had
may be
over
one of the top
21,000
geniuses
points
of
of
the
arcane
human race.
power.
It
It
was
seemed
not
that he was
surprising
not a
that he
match
could
for Lin
injure them.
Xian. Then do we still have to attack? Many people asked
Everyone
in a low
discussed
voice.
animatedly,
The young
but
man
Lei
shook his
Haotian's
head.
face was
No, let him
terrifyingly
live a little
gloomy.
longer.
He was
We
not
have
a
other
match
things
for
to
the
do.
other party.
With that,
What a
he
joke.
waved his hand,
These humans
and the two
actually
ancient
dared to
demons
look down on
spiders
him
in
like
front
this?
flew back.
This
The
was
young man who led
intolerable
the
to him.
ancient demon
Kid,
spiders
go to hell
glanced
for me.
at Lin Xian.
He
and
directly
then
rushed
rushed
out
into
a
the sky
lightning
with his
long
people.
blade from the sea
The
of
group
lightning
quickly
and
rushed
slashed
into the
forward.
sky,
The
ignoring
lightning
the
that
array,
filled the sky
and directly
swallowed and
toward the
spat
void
out light,
and left,
splitting the
The
sky
ancient
into two.
creatures had left.
Reckless and blind.
Everyone looked at this
I'll
scene,
fulfill your wish
shocked
then.
and in disbelief.
Lin Xian smiled
Lin Xian's
coldly,
supporters
still
burst
calm
into
and
cheers.
collected. Because the
Lin Xian was
disparity
too
in
powerful.
strength between the two
That's
parties
right.
was
It had
seriously
always been
too
the
great.
ancient
He
creatures that
directly
scared
reached
others
out a
away.
palm and grabbed
Now,
forward.
our Lin Xian
Dared
could
to
scare
grab
my
the
lightning
ancient
son's
creatures
sword
barehanded?
These people
Really
were pleasantly
courting death.
surprised.
Lin
Lin
Xian's
Xian's eyes were also shining. This was not an ordinary lightning long sword. He felt that the young man who did not attack was very powerful. The lightning sword was very terrifying. It was even more terrifying than a heaven-red treasure sword. To go back. The other party actually dared to resist. The elder of the Divine Wind Dynasty appeared again. He said with a smile, "Temple Master Lin, take care." Chapter 28.
What's the matter?
Lin Xian asked with a frown. The two attacks collided. Lord invited Temple Master Lin to the palace golden palm with a deafening sound. Lin Xian nodded. However, since he was already in the imperial capital, Lin Xian's palm it was not a big deal to take a stroll. Instead, Lin Xian took the dark red divine dragon. How was that possible? And the two followed the imperial family elder when he saw that toward the palace. The other party was actually able to contend against his Thunder's strong were respected in this world. This was simply too unbelievable. Whether it was the ancient creatures or Lin Xian that strong, they were all respected by the imperial family elders. Had a physique comparable to a saint physique. It should be known that these elders would not even members care of the about evil races had heard of Leaf, but their attitude toward Lin Xian was so respectful. They did not expect his opponent's physique to be so strong as well. Flew into the sky and left his expression capital of the Divine Wind Dynasty. And he even screamed, "That spirit herb is about to make cracking sounds. We have to hurry. It was covered with cracks. We can't let others take it." With a clang, the young man in the lead said in a deep voice. It was broken. The ancient creatures beside him were also excited. Sort of lightning was directly broken into pieces by spirit herb that was 8,000 years old. Shocking. It had a magical effect on the eyes wide open, spiders, not daring to believe it at all. So they were determined to get it. Lei Haoyan was also There was someone in front. In the sky. After a while, Lin Xian's they suddenly felt the lightning strong energy fluctuation in front of them. With a bang, could it be an expert from the human clan? When Lei Haoyan was struck by the palm, he was sent flying. The young man in the lead said, "The bones in his body were shattered and blood splattered everywhere. It's an ancient creature. Even his internal organs were knocked out. Of the silver lightning race. He rolled for 70,000 to 80,000 miles before he stopped. His body creatures were also very surprised. Only his head was intact. The young man, the surrounding humans and Archean beasts were completely flabbergasted. These silver lightning race experts who spread the news twitching imperial and their hearts were about to jump out. They did not expect to see the scene again. It was the same torture. Who told this brat to be so arrogant? Of the Silver Lightning tribe fight against our ancient demon They had already warned their prodigy, the archaic creatures were also very to ignore them. Let's go. They did not expect their prodigy to be defeated so quickly. They arrived in front. His body was torn apart with a spread out in front of them. How could this be? A thundercloud. How could that kid be so strong? There were a few figures on the other side. Hualing, one of the graceful figures, was half lying on the thundercloud. Her eyes were filled with shock. There were many ancient creatures serving her. Far exceeded her imagination. Don't look at how young this girl was. Her identity was frighteningly great. Lei Haoyan roared crazily as his body spiders were extremely respectful towards her. But his eyes were like lightning. The lead shouted respectfully, he was simply too furious. "Greetings, Sister His opponent's palm had actually shattered him into pieces. The graceful figure on the thundercloud he swore that he would torture the other man to death. The primordial ancient demon spider clan silver and then symbols appeared one Why did you bring your men here? On his body. I just woke up, so I brought people out to play, turning into terrifying lightning. It was too boring to sleep for so many years. Now that he had activated his bloodline power, he had activated bad news here. Full force. Bad news? As prodigies of the Silver Lightning tribe, they were born with lightning. In this world, in particular, he was accompanied by a type of lightning called Silver Spirit Lightning. The mysterious woman was kind of very confident. Contained an extremely strong no one dared to provoke them. Now that he was using it, the young man from the ancient demonic spider shook his head, and his face became serious, forming a terrifying black hole that seemed as though it was going to devour everything. I just found out from the imperial capital that his palm and transformed it into a silver clan were killed. There was a divine wind imperial force on it as he clawed forward. Hearing this, wherever the mysterious woman would shatter and be annihilated. Creatures were killed. Nothing could stop it. And they were the geniuses of the silver electric clan. This power is too terrifying. How could this be? Was this the power of his bloodline? The mysterious woman, a genius of the Silver Lightning tribe. The young man from the ancient demon spider was really despairing. It's true. You're too weak. We saw it with our own eyes, and looking at the scene, but the enemy is too decisive. Everyone in the world was shocked. She directly killed the three geniuses of the Silver Electric Clan and even injured our terrifying power, and he said that it was too weak. As he spoke, was already close to the 22,000 units behind of Archean power. These two were the ones who fought with Lin Xian before. Oh God, their palms were cut off by Lin Xian, and they had not
really
healed
have
yet
such
because
strength?
the remnant aura
Everyone
of the
was
great
shocked,
dragon sword
and those
soul
arcade
was difficult
creatures
to erase.
roared crazily.
Damn it, that damn
The
brat.
mysterious woman
Before
was
they could
finally
finish their
angry.
words,
It
they
seemed
were
that the
stunned.
news was true.
In front of them,
Who was it?
Lin
Tell
Xian
me
pulled
who
out
did
a
it.
sword.
How
The
dare
long
you
sword
kill a
was like a
prodigy
dragon
of the
as
Silver
it
Lightning
slashed
clan?
down.
Was it
The
one of
entire
those
world
Saint
was
Lords?
cut in half,
Or the Emperor
Everyone
of the
trembled
Divine
as
Wind
if they were
Dynasty?
about to be split
In his
apart.
opinion,
Their
only
bodies
these people
were
would dare to make a
uncontrollably
move against
prostrated
them.
on the ground.
No, it
After
wasn't
that
those sacred
sword strike,
leaders and
all
sect
the
masters.
terrifying scenes
It was
in
a
the
young
sky
man.
disappeared.
Young people?
The destructive
Who was
power
it?
disappeared
Among the
and
younger
silver
generation
palm turned into
was
ashes.
there anyone who could
In the
stop
distance,
the three prodigies of the Silver Lightning clan?
in midair.
The mysterious
line of
woman
blood
couldn't
appeared
believe
between
it.
his
The
eyebrows
young
and
man
grew
from
bigger
the
and
ancient
bigger,
demon spider
sliding
clan
down
said,
his cheeks
Elder
and neck.
sister,
Do you
Bang.
remember that
His
some
body
time
was
ago,
split in half.
the emissary
Even
of the
his
Silver
soul
Electric
power was
clan was
destroyed
beaten
in
up?
an instant.
Hearing this,
When the sword
expressions
struck,
of the
he was
ancient
destroyed.
life forms on the
It was just one
thunderclouds
move.
turned ugly. After that
The mysterious
move,
woman
Lin Xian
called
put away
Yi
his
Hua
long
furrowed her
sword and
brows.
stood with his hands
I
behind his
naturally
back.
knew that it was done
the
by
prodigy
immortal
of the Silver
Palace's
Lightning
palace
tribe was no
master.
longer breathing.
Humph.
My
Huh,
Silver
another
Lightning
good
tribe
thing.
will naturally
The dark
not
red
let
dragon
him off.
laughed loudly.
It was good that his
With a
elder
wave of
sister
its
knew
dragon
about him.
claw.
It
This
put away
time,
the
it
corpse
was precisely
and blood.
that immortal
This was
palace's
already the
hall
corpse
master
of the
who took
second
the
archaic
initiative.
prodigy.
It was he
If
who
he
had
could get
come
him to the
through more,
imperial
he
capital
could set
and
up a
personally killed
bloodthirsty
his
true
three
spirit
brothers from
array
the
to
Silver
cultivate.
Lightning clan. Lei Haotian,
It was
the
that
prodigy
immortal
of the
palace's
Silver Lightning
palace
tribe,
master
was
again.
dead.
Everyone was
Silverflower
shocked and could
thoroughly
not believe it.
enraged,
And the
especially
ancient
those
life
from the
forms
Silver
serving
Point
her were
race.
also
They
brimming
screamed
with killing
crazily.
intent.
They
Master,
could not accept
let
the
me
fact
go
at
and
all.
kill him.
On the other
These
side,
ancient life
the people
forms
of
were
the
not
Fire
from the
Cloud
Silver
tribe
Lightning
were also
clan,
terrified.
but the mysterious
Huo
woman
Ling's
in front
face
of
was
them.
pale without a trace
She
of blood.
used her powerful
She
strength
turned
to
around
subdue
and left
other
without
races
saying
to
a
serve
word.
her.
Previously,
This kind of
when her
subjugation was
subordinates
very
told her
common
that the
among
other
the
party was
10,000
very
ancient
powerful
races.
and killed the
Because
prodigy
these
of the
10,000
Tiango tribe
ancient
in
races
3 moves,
worshipped power,
she did not
it was
believe it.
very common
But
for them
now,
to be
she
subdued.
saw Lei Haoyan
At
being
this
killed
moment,
with a single
these
sword
ancient
strike.
life form
She
servants were
believed it.
very angry.
The other party was
Yin
really
Hua's face
powerful,
was gloomy,
far surpassing
no
her.
need.
This
Perhaps
time I will
only the
personally kill him.
prodigies of the
He
ancient
was
royal
thoroughly
families
enraged.
could fight against
So
him.
what if the other
Such a
party
person was
immortal
not someone she
palace's
could
palace
provoke.
master?
No matter how
turned into
powerful
a
he was,
fiery red
he was
light
just a human.
and fled into the
In
distance.
front of the 10,000
Seeing this
ancient
scene,
races,
the
he
people
could
of the
only
10,000 archaic races
actually
were stunned.
dared to resist?
The other party
Where was
actually
he?
fled.
He should
The
still
people
be
of the
in
human
the imperial
race were
capital.
also shocked.
Even if he
The
left,
prodigy
he couldn't
of
have
the
gone too
ancient
far.
primordial race
Let's go.
actually admitted
With
defeat.
a roar,
The
this was
thunderclouds
too
in the sky
inconceivable.
turned into a
You want to
thunder dragon.
escape?
With
Can
a
you
roar,
escape?
it drilled
Lin
into the
Xian
clouds
watched
as
and
the other party
disappeared.
fled.
Only
But he did
balls
not
of lightning
chase
were
after
left,
her, still rolling in all
stretched out his
directions.
hands,
And the
looking
sword
at the
chi on his
disappearing
body
figure,
crackled.
the young
forming
man
a
from the
large
ancient
bow.
demon spider
He drew
clan
the bow
curled
and
his
shot
lips
an arrow.
into a smile.
Buzz.
The
The
next
next
moment,
moment,
he
he
also
also
waved
waved
his
his
hand.
between heaven
Let's
and
go.
earth.
These
This
people
arrow
also
pierced
left.
through the void and
Yin
flew
Hua's
out.
speed was
Boom.
very fast.
Hundreds of thousands
Not
of
long
miles
after,
away,
she
Huo
saw a
Ling,
majestic
Earth's
city
body
below.
stiffened. Her heart had been
Immediately, she
pierced by
frowned.
the arrow.
It seemed
She
that
was
this should
nailed
be
to
the
death in
imperial
midair
capital
by
of
this
the
force.
Divine Wind Dynasty.
Master, do you want us to directly
She
go down
screamed
and capture
crazily.
that kid and
Her
kill him?
fiery red
There's
hair
no need.
fluttered in the air,
Yin Hua
and her
shook her
beautiful
head.
face was
That
filled
kid
with
dared to
endless
attack
fear.
us, which
You
means
can't
he has
kill me.
something to rely on.
I'm a prodigy
Let's
of the
see
Fire
how
Cloud
many
tribe.
invincible kings
You've
he has
already
with him
offended
first
two
before
ancient
we make a
races.
move. You can't
First,
offend the Fire
seal the
Cloud tribe
surroundings.
anymore.
Otherwise,
there will be
7
no
or 8
path for
ancient
you
life
in the
forms
entire
swayed
world
and came to the 4 corners
so what
of the world.
if I offend the Fire
Yin
Cloud
Hua
tribe?
went to the 9
Lin
heavens
Xian
and looked
stood
down
with
with
his
her
hands
cold
behind
eyes.
his back, and
She
his
would
voice
not
was
enter
cold.
the imperial capital.
His eyes
She
erupted
had to
with
wait
a cold
until she
light.
met him outside.
In front of him,
As soon
the
as he
arrow
came
that
out,
pierced
she
through
would
Huo
kill
Ling,
him
or
mercilessly.
suddenly exploded.
In this way,
Endless
she could guarantee
sword
that
chi
no
erupted
one
and
and no
enveloped the
formation
other
would
party.
stop her.
Boom. In the Divine
Boom.
Wind Dynasty's imperial capital, Lin Xian and the Divine Wind
Dynasty's sacred master drank tea and chatted for a while.
28:14.
Then Lin
When
Xian came
everything
out.
disappeared,
After leaving
everyone
the palace,
trembled.
he
The
and
dark
the dark
red
red
divine
dragon's
dragon
figures
also
swayed
sighed.
and also disappeared from the street.
Nothing was left
Soon,
behind.
they left
That's
the
right,
imperial
Hua Ling,
capital
or
and
had been
soared into the
completely
sky.
killed.
Not a single
that
drop
kid
of
is
blood
out.
was left behind.
In the south,
the
an
sword
ancient
chi
life
of the
form
great dragon
quickly
transmitted his
was
voice.
truly terrifying.
Immediately,
They were
Yin
dead.
Hua opened her
3
eyes in the
geniuses
9
of the
heavens.
10,000
Thus,
ancient
a
races whose
jade-like
names
hand
shook
reached
the
out and
world
grabbed
and suppressed
downwards
the human holy
thunderbolts
sun
that
until he
blotted
could
out
not
the
raise
sky
his head
and covered the earth.
But now,
descended
in front of Lin
each of them
Xian,
as thick
they were
as a
easily
bucket.
killed.
They were
While
densely
chatting,
packed and
a
covered the
powerful
entire
enemy was
space.
reduced to ashes.
This scene was as
This
if the
was the
world
true
was about to be
portrayal of Lin
destroyed.
Xian.
Previously, no one had expected Lin Xian to be so powerful. The dark red dragon screamed. Especially the remaining ancient creatures also frowned. Their faces were filled with despair. They had just come out, and they had been clamoring for more than a month, terrifying but the other party did not come out. This must be a plot. They thought that the other party was afraid and was not their match from the Silver Lightning race. However, they did not know that the other party was too powerful. These lightning bolts were from the Silver Lightning race, but once he made a move, he was very sensitive to these lightning bolts. They could not bear the consequences of such a move. Coldly. Damn brat, with the Silver Lightning race will definitely not let you off. Erupted from his body as he rushed up to the lightning bolt. Will definitely tear you into pieces. The dark red dragon followed behind him. How dare you kill one of our people? Its dragon claws. The Tiango race will let you know body was abnormally strong. These ancient creatures roared by these lightning bolts. They had really gone crazy. Clanging sounds. They swore that they would went against the heavens like a peerless god of war and completely destroy the other heavens. Who dares to sneak up on his head and looked at these ancient creatures with an incomparably thunder as it rolled out. Those ancient creatures were enveloped by his gaze. Their bodies trembled and they directly knelt on the ground. Again? There was nothing they could do. Of the Silver Lightning race was going to attack again. Lin Xian was like a peerless god of war, high and mighty, while they were ants in the mortal world. How could they withstand such a gaze? The powerhouses of the Silver Lightning race? They all knelt on the ground. A pair of cold eyes appeared in the sky, carrying with them the power of more than a dozen ancient creatures roared crazily. They were the high and mighty 10,000 ancient races with noble soul in his body. Before this, and instantly the human race was their slave. Golden moons flickered in his eyes as he faced the attack. Moreover, that's right, it's me. Their bodies were kneeling uncontrollably. The Silver Lightning race? They could not even stand up. If you want revenge, come here and die. Creatures trembled. Good boy, you have guts. This situation would only happen when they faced their family's patriarchs. Heaven and earth rumbled. The other party, lightning, a young man, actually did it. Lin Xian. It seems that you're determined to kill me. Open the void and disappeared. Why should I show mercy to you? Lin Xian has been teleported out. Lin Xian's powerhouses cried out in surprise and quickly chased after him. That directly pierced into these archaic creatures. However, the scene of Lin Xian and the mysterious man had already disappeared. Creatures fell to the ground. Where did they go? No longer breathing. They're probably millions of miles away. The world was silent. Should I go and take a look? The human warriors in the distance were completely stunned. In the Imperial City, it was too powerful. Many people began to search in all directions. As expected of Lin Xian from Central Emperor. Almighty Lin Xian was indeed what a terrifying technique. These people clenched their fists to be in the younger generation and roared madly. After all, it couldn't be the younger generation did not have such terrifying strength by the 10,000 ancient races so much to the point that they couldn't breathe. Be careful, boy. These 10,000 ancient races were like gods as they walked the earth. The two of them had strong physiques, the human race's so they could withstand the endless lightning attacks. Only a small number of people were able to resist it. But no, right now, I can't let them succeed. Had taken down 3 archaic paragons with ease in a domineering manner. Ruffian dragon. This gave them a sense of destroy. Lin Xian might be able to save the dragon race. At the very least, dragon claws and began to break the array. Lin Xian looked into the distance was using a treasure. Human warriors who were watching the battle. Array formation. Spread the news. He was very proficient in it. 10,000 ancient races geniuses to wash their necks and wait for them to break through the sea of lightning and rush out. Damn it, I will trample on them one by one. How dare you plot against me? I will let them know the consequences of challenging the human race. As soon as the dark red dragon came out, was ignored in all reverberating between heaven and earth. Lin Xian's body was surrounded by endless in the distance were extremely excitable to come out. It was as if they had been injected with chicken blood, prodigies and their faces were flushed red. In the sky, he was going to sweep the cold voice sounded again. That's right. Previously, hearing this voice, the 10,000 ancient races and the crimson dragon looked up at the sky. Now, they could see a mysterious woman standing above the 9 heavens with an ancient race of geniuses, as if she were a queen staring down at them. Around them, truly there were 7 archaic life forms. They had to let the world surrounding know how powerful the 7 archaic geniuses forms all had different expressions on their all directions and began to spread the news crazily. He was not a member of the Silver Lightning clan. The news spread like a hurricane. These ancient creatures had joined throughout the entire Middle State. If that was to the eastern wilderness, then things would be troublesome. Northern plains, the dark red dragon shook its head. In an instant, they should be slaves. The world was shocked, and the entire divine dragon had a better understanding of these primordial creatures. Lin Xian came out of seclusion. Therefore, he explained, and he easily killed when 3 archaic geniuses. He heaved a sigh of relief. Everyone was stunned. As long as the 10,000 ancient races didn't join forces, geniuses there wouldn't be this period of time. He could tell that the mysterious woman in the sky came out of very seclusion so domineeringly. His strength had reached the late stage of the 9-star king realm. Even among the invincible kings, he was an extremely terrifying details were revealed. They had no choice but to believe that Lin Xian was too strong. That terrifying. He's probably an old monster. What shocked them even more was that Lin Xian said that he was going to sweep through the 10,000 ancient races. Powerful the other party was. This news excited the entire human race. And the sword chi on his body became ancient races. They were so angry that they let out a roar. A puny human dared to say such words to them. Above, he really didn't know time. Frowned. The 10,000 ancient races were actually in mighty existences with ant-like humans. How could a lowly human provoke them? You're really embarrassing the divine beasts. The 10,000 ancient races since you're not a dragon from the nest of 10,000 dragons, preparing to kill Lin Xian for being impolite. Jade Lake's sacred ground. I heard that drinking dragon blood can allow the 10,000 ancient races to evolve in front of the immortal peach tree. I'm going to verify when they heard the legend is true. Their faces were filled with joy. Dark red divine dragon. Big brother Lin Xian was too light burst out from her eyes. Big brother Xian finally came out of seclusion. You want to compete with your grandpa Long's blood? Do you want to die? When Lin Xian had been in seclusion and hadn't come looking for your teeth on the ground, that something had happened. You don't know death. But now it seemed that he was just in seclusion. Made her move. Ye family. A silver light flickered in the sky, at the peak of a mountain with his black hair fluttering in the wind. A terrifying silver lightning blade slashed towards Lin Xian and the dark red divine dragon. Wherever it passed, I also want everything was cut in half. Is it no power about to resist it? When the Yi family's elders heard the news, and the dark red divine dragon resisted head-on. Their expressions were solemn as they nodded solemnly. An intense collision sound rang out. We won't care about the younger generation, shattering the older generation's matters to us. Lin Xian was their hope and blood their family's future, but he quickly suppressed it. As expected of a late-stage 9-star king, they knew that this kind of future shouldn't be a flower raised in a greenhouse. He had to go through bloody battles to become a true dragon was also Saint Physique. Clearly, previously, that attack just now also gave him a lot of pressure. The 10,000 ancient races geniuses. You were actually able to block my attack without being injured. Lin Xian but unfortunately, in advance. I only used 10,000 units of the ancient era's power just now. Therefore, he didn't hesitate to say that he would sweep through the world. I didn't even use half of my strength. The world was in an uproar again. Silverflower's voice was going to make a move, and her eyes were filled with disdain. Was indeed powerful. Her casual attack made the two of them retreat. Eastern sage were going to make a move. Her full strength, who knew she what the other titled kings would easily kill these two people. Everyone was looking forward to it. 10,000 units of the ancient era's power. 10,000 Buddha temple. Lin Xian sat there, his eyes clear and without any fluctuations. The dark red divine dragon at the side explained. This was a calculation method of the 10,000 ancient races. 2815. Reaching 9-star when this king, news came out, the weakest would have 9,000 units of the ancient era's power. Party did not say that he would challenge all the 10,000 and these invincible kings. It was clear because that of their different bloodlines and travel the world. There would be differences in strength. Earth-shattering battle. The 10,000 ancient races had developed a method that could describe the strength of this kind of overlord in South Mountain. They called it the ancient era's power. In a fairyland it was said that the weakest 9-star king stood there with his hands behind his back. Units of the ancient era's power, and the strongest, and there was 100,000 units of the ancient era's power. He was However, reaching 100,000 units of the ancient era's power was already the limit of one of the titled prodigies. It seemed that no one could break this rule. He was extremely powerful. Further up was rumored that he had obtained the inheritance. I didn't expect you to know so clearly. His foundation was terrifying of the dragons, and his strength was unfathomable. So what if you know clearly? The cultivation of the two of you should only be peerless powerhouses. There were two figures opposite him. One of them was a mysterious figure surrounded by invincible kings of class 1. He was like the god of hell, and he emitted a terrifying aura. They can indeed become geniuses. Even the surrounding space became distorted. But it's a pity that you met me. Behind that person was a pair of black flame wings with mysterious black runes on them. Is 30,000 units of the ancient era's tail that was like a black whip. Do you think the two of you can compete with me? It emitted a sharp aura. 30,000 was not alone. Of the ancient era's the figure standing next to him was the dark red divine dragon with 3 heads. This kid however, seems to be an incredible fellow. Not human heads. Lin Xian was also shocked. The one on the left was a crocodile although he had just learned about the rules of the 10,000 and the one on the right was an elephant head. From the description of the dark red divine dragon to have an ordinary 9-star invincible king would have 9,000 units of the ancient era's power. But the other party had 30,000 units were like the ancient era's power. They had an extremely sharp aura. Too great. With a wave of his hand, dragon, he could easily cut through the void. You have? At that moment, the 3-headed monster snorted. Lin Xian was really arrogant.
Chapter
he wanted to conquer the
2800.
world.
If I go all out, I have about 20,000 units of Archean power,
but the Eastern
and so
Wilderness Sacred
the dark
Being
red
and
dragon
Western
said.
Deserts Wuchen
Of
were
course,
also courting
if your
death.
great dragon sword
The
soul goes
10,000
all
Archean
out,
tribes
it will
were
definitely increase.
beyond their imagination.
Both of us have more
the
than
10,000
20,000
Archean
units,
tribes.
so we have more
Those
than 40,000
were
units
also
in
members
total.
of the 10,000
We can
Archean
definitely
tribes.
kill him.
However,
Lin
they
Xian
were
was
standing
puzzled.
together with
Why
Yan
was the
Nantian.
other party so
No
confident?
one knew what the
The dark
relationship
red dragon
between the
shook
three
its
of
head.
them was.
It wasn't as
Hearing
simple
that,
as
Yan
1 plus
Nantian's
1.
eyes flickered.
Otherwise,
I've
a
seen
group
the
of
Eastern
8-star
Wilderness
kings would be heaven-defying.
He's
One
very
had to
powerful.
know that 10,000
After
units
all,
of Archean
he is a
power
clan
was
of the
equivalent
ancients,
to a difference of
descendant
one
of the
realm.
monarch clan.
It was very
He is
difficult to make
equivalent
up
to
for
the
it.
royal clan
Of course,
the 10,000
this is only
Archean
my
clans.
estimate. Who
Therefore,
knows how
you must not
terrifying
be
your
careless.
great dragon sword
As
soul
for
will
that
be when it
Central
goes all
Emperor
out.
Lin Xian,
The dark
although
red
he had never
dragon
seen him
transmitted
before,
its voice
he had
to Lin
heard that he
Xian.
practiced the
Lin
Nine
Xian
Yang
nodded.
divine body.
He understood that
After
the
he
Archean
cultivated
power
it, he
should
wouldn't
be a
be
guess
any
of one's
weaker than a
strength.
great success.
However, it was
holy
only
physique.
a guess. So
It wasn't
he would probably be a
100%
difficult
certain.
opponent to
For
deal
example,
with.
if
But
his
don't
great
worry,
dragon
I'm
sword
not
soul
afraid
was
of these
injected
two.
with unlimited
At this
power,
point,
his
it could
eyes
kill a
were filled
sage.
with pride.
Thinking of
There
this,
were very few
his
people
eyes
in
burst
heaven and
out with
earth
a
who
piercing
didn't fear
cold
Lin
light.
Xian and
You
leafed
believe
out
in
in
this
this
Archean
and
power
Yan
too much.
Nantian was one
Today,
of them.
I'll
At
let
the
you
front,
see that the
the
current
black
world
flaming
no
figure
longer
and the
belongs to you.
three-headed monster
The sword
sneered.
chi on Lin
Don't worry.
Xian's body became
So
sharper
what if they're
and
from the
sharper.
remote antiquity?
Hence, you're
Apart
courting
from
death.
having extreme
In
weapons,
the surroundings,
they can't
the 7
compare to the
Archean
ancient
creatures were
theocrats.
also furious.
There was no need to even
Someone
mention
actually
Leaf
dared to speak to
Daudenier.
their master
Although
like this.
he was a descendant
was
of an
courting
emperor
death.
clan,
They
the great
quickly
emperor
charged
blood
over.
flowing in his
In
body
an
was
instant,
simply too
the three
thin.
of them arrived
You
around
must know
Lin
that the
Xian.
primeval
These
theocrats
3
have
Archean
princes
creatures
and
each
princesses.
had about
That
10,000
was the
units of
direct
Archean
descendant
power.
of a great
Their
emperor.
attacks were truly
How terrifying
with such a
One of them
bloodline be.
turned into a black
It was
mountain
definitely
and
not
pressed
something
down
that
from the
Leaf
sky.
Daudenier could compare
Another
to.
person
Let
spat out
alone Lin
terrifying
Xian.
flames
At
that
this
turned into
point,
fire
their
crows
eyes
that
were
danced
filled
in
with
the sky,
passion and worship.
emitting terrifying heat.
The last person
The
pulled
child
out
of
a
a
jet
great
black
emperor,
ancient saber
what a
and slashed
terrifying
down,
bloodline
cutting the void in
inheritance.
half. It would
Boom.
probably surpass
Lin
all
Xian
the
made his
primeval
move.
aristocratic
First,
families.
he sent the Archean
Yan Nantian's
demonic
expression
mountain flying
also
with a punch.
fluctuated.
Then,
Would a
he
great
slapped
emperor
the jet
really
black
appear?
saber in half
To
with
be
a palm.
honest, he was also
His
too
entire
shocked.
body was bathed
One had
in
to
a
know
sea
that
of
he was
fire,
someone who
and
had
he was
received
fearless.
the inheritance
He
of a
easily
great
sent
emperor.
the 3 Archean
He knew how
creatures
terrifying
flying
a
with
great
3
emperor
punches.
was the best.
The 3
How
Archean
heaven-defying
creatures
would
kept
that
retreating,
bloodline be if it
smashing
was
through the
directly
void
passed
and
down?
turning into a
Perhaps
bloody
he would be
mist.
born with this
He was
earth-shattering
actually
power.
this strong.
It was
The
absolutely
remaining
true
4
that a
archaic
dragon crown
creatures were
prince was
stunned.
about to appear
Those were
in the
3
nest of
early-stage
10,000
9-star
dragons.
powerhouses.
Just wait,
Each
it
of them
won't be
possessed
long before he
roughly
appears.
10,000 units
Moreover,
of ancient power.
the 10,000
Yet,
ancient
even with the
races
3 of
have
them
already
working together,
discussed it. They were still
when the time
killed
comes,
so easily.
we will join
This
forces
kid
to
was
control
too
the world
terrifying.
together.
And he was
Don't
just
worry,
a young man.
as long as your
Had
Yen
the human
family
race
helps
become
become
so
10,000
terrifying,
ancient races,
they were
when the
dumbfounded.
time comes,
Your
in the
Yen
air,
family will be the
Silverflower's
primeval
voice was
royal
ice
family.
cold.
The
As
4
for
of
the
you,
others,
retreat
if they
and
dare
don't
to
attack.
resist the
This
10,000
brat
ancient
should have
races,
about
they
20,000
will be
units
completely
of ancient
reduced to
strength.
slaves.
Unless
At
the
this
2 of you
point,
work
a
together
sharp
and
light
kill him
erupted
in
from
one
their
blow.
eyes.
Otherwise,
Don't worry,
they
my
wouldn't be
Yen
his match
family
at all.
will naturally be
That's
on good
right.
terms with
A
you.
difference of
Yan
1,000
Nantian
units of
said in a
Archean
deep
energy
voice.
was already
If
a
someone was
terrifying
here and
gap.
heard this
Let
news,
alone
they would
10,000
definitely be
units of
extremely
Archean
shocked.
energy.
The Yen
This
family was
absolutely
actually going to join
merciless
forces
crushing
with the 10,000
Therefore,
ancient races.
even if the remaining
What was
4
even
ancient
more
creatures
shocking was
attacked,
that the
it would be
10,000
useless.
ancient races were
However,
actually
Inhua
secretly
was
plotting
not
to
worried.
regain control
After
of the
all,
world.
she had
It seemed
10,000
that the
more
human
Archean
race
powers
was
than
really
him.
going to fall
Similarly,
into a disaster.
she could easily
On the
crush
other
him.
side, the
Boom.
silver lightning
Sure
race,
enough,
the heavenly
in the
dog
next
race,
instant,
and the
Silver
fire
Cloud
cloud
race
attacked.
had an extremely
The
solemn
thunderclouds in the
atmosphere.
sky pressed
Their
down and
prodigy had been
condensed above
killed
Lin
in front
Xian's
of
head.
everyone right
That terrifying
outside the
power
city.
of thunder
In fact,
filled the entire
none of
space.
the ancient creatures
members had returned. Spatial cracks spread out in all directions. Angry. Boom! Damn it! Kill him! We must kill him! Brandished the dragon abyss ancient sword. One figure after another stood out, burst out from the long sword. If you encounter that brat, the thunder that filled the sky. However, there were simply too many lightning bolts this time and bring him back. Let him suffer for 10,000 years together and seemed to be live a life worse than death. Even if it was cut open, among the three great races, pouring in from all directions sounded one after another. In an instant, the prodigies of the three great races appeared again. Brad, be careful. And Lin Xian had already left the immortal palace. Spat out balls of after Lin Xian said that he would dominate the lightning bolts. The world was in an uproar, the two of them attacked together, and the atmosphere became more and more intense. Lin Xian felt that it was about time to make him work together, so he and the dark red divine dragon left the immortal palace under clouds in the sky. Their first destination was the imperial capital of the Tai dynasty, because she discovered that in the dark feather lightning below, a roar came. This was not the first time Lin Xian had been to the imperial capital of the Tai dynasty. Immediately after, when he helped the lightning was cut open and a figure holding a killing sword quickly rushed over. At that time, he had an intense conflict with the first prince and the empress. Extremely surprised. The other four ancient creatures even hunted down and left the Tai dynasty in the terrifying their master was. Now that he was in the imperial capital of the Tai dynasty again, he could not contend with their master. Different scene. But now, the Black Earth party actually charged out. Lin Xian was truly beyond their expectations. Using the blood of the ancient prodigies to temper his body. Sea of lightning? At the same time, Lin Xian silently absorbed divine crystals and swallowed pills to charging towards Yinhua. Brat, the sword light in the capital of the Tai dynasty shattering the space around Yinhua. The Black Earth floated over and quickly reminded him, and her figure dodged lightly. Lin Xian opened his eyes, on the other side, and a piercing light red divine dragon also rushed out. He walked out of the blood-colored array and put on a bright divine dragon, roaring non-stop. Probed the outside world. At this moment, endless lightning also rushed out of his body, and the dark red divine dragon left the lightning around him. The little white monkey was also moving clouds and summoning rain. Breathing fire and releasing lightning were the most basic. Lin Xian did not go through the dark red divine dragon be afraid of this lightning? Is this all you've got? He descended directly from the sky. Take out your true ability and let me see. He wanted to forcefully descend into the imperial capital of the Tai dynasty. At this moment, the 9 yang divine body on his body bloomed with light, and endless sword chi surrounded it, making him look like a peerless war god. You reckless thing, since you're courting death, I'll fulfill your wish. Yinhua snorted coldly. With a wave of her jade-like hand, terrifying thunder descended. This time, the lightning was even more terrifying. It transformed into lightning with 5 different colors, the 5-colored divine lightning. The terrifying power was enough to kill a late-stage 9-star invincible king. Do you think I'm afraid of you? Lin Xian used the 9 yang divine body to the extreme. At the same time, dragon-shaped sword chi rushed out of his body and rushed forward. The dark red divine dragon also roared and used the dragon's great divine ability to contend with it. In an instant, the sky collapsed and the earth cracked. The 3 of them attacked, and there was not a single place within a radius of millions of miles that was intact. On Lin Xian's body, mysterious runes flickered and terrifying light pulsed. Balls of 9 yang divine fire erupted, and like a golden war god, he resisted the 5-colored lightning. One had to admit that the 5-colored lightning was very terrifying. When it hit Lin Xian's body, it was charred black. However, the 9 yang divine body was still able to forcibly resist it. 5-colored wild lightning slash. Yinhua shouted and waved her jade-like hand. Immediately, 5-colored lightning gathered in her hand, forming a 5-colored lightning blade that slashed down. The dark red divine dragon was shocked when the blade slashed out, and Lin Xian's pupils shrank. The 9 yang divine body also split open. Terrifying cracks appeared on it, revealing deep, white bones. Blood dripped down from it. It dyed the void red. That kid is injured. Chapter 2801. The dark red divine dragon was also shocked. Chapter 2816. Are you alright? There were 2 reasons opened his mouth and spat out the Jiao dragon scissors. He wanted to tell the Tai dynasty them and turn them into 2 dragons. Returned. They rushed forward and blasted the remaining 5-colored lightning away. Because he knew that there was still an empress in the imperial capital, he was an archaic and she still had a terrifying force behind her. The half-step saint artifact. Lin Xian had to intimidate the other party with his powerful stance. He also took out the 9-story pagoda. The purpose of his trip was to dominate the world and trample the immemorial celestial feet under his feet. A half-step saint artifact? Those immemorial celestial sects you to have such a treasure in your hands and enter the imperial capital. Looked at the half-step saint artifacts in their hands. Those immemorial prodigies were arrogant, flickered, so he was going to be even more arrogant than all of them. Half-step saint artifacts weren't cabbages. Lin Xian was like a peerless god of war as he quickly descended. If she could have one more, it would be a huge fortune. Lin Xian seemed that the 2 of you had a lot of treasures on you. Golden wave surged downward, and everything you have will be mine. The entire imperial capital's array formation was activated. Although the 2 of them had used half-step saint artifacts, their archaic power was still inferior to hers. In the Tai dynasty she wasn't afraid at all. At this moment, they looked up at the sky. The 3 of them exchanged more than 100 moves. The peerless array formation. The sky collapsed and there was a figure above. The dark red divine dragon gritted his teeth. Prodigy had entered? This woman was too terrifying. A shout
She could
sounded.
actually resist
The
a
people of the
half-step
Tiny
Saint
dynasty
artifact
were
with her
shocked.
bare hands.
In the imperial
Was this
palace,
a late-stage
dragon guards
nine-star
appeared one
invincible
after
king?
another.
It was
The
too
imperial
terrifying.
elders also
Lin
came
Xian
out.
was also
Their
shocked.
gazes were
He
like
could now
lightning,
easily kill
piercing
early
through the
stage
void and
nine-star
looking forward.
invincible kings.
In the next moment,
he could even
they were
kill
extremely
mid-stage
shocked.
nine-star
Damn
invincible
it,
kings.
it wasn't an immemorial
However,
creature,
he didn't expect
but a human
late-stage
who dared to
nine-star
be so
invincible
bold
king
as to
to
challenge
challenge
the Tiny
terrifying.
dynasty.
He took
The
out a
expressions
half-step
of the
Saint
dragon
artifact
guards,
to fight
generals, and
against her.
elders all
He
sank.
even joined hands
It was
with
one
the dark
thing
red
for the
divine
10,000
dragon,
ancient
but he
races
still
to
couldn't
descend.
injure her. After all,
This scene
they
was
were
truly
extremely
unbelievable
terrifying
to him.
But who
Buzz
among the
golden
humans
runes
dared to be
flashed
so
in his
rude
eyes,
and
activate
activate
the array formation
and directly kill
Buzz.
the other party?
Silverflower's
An elder
body
of the
stiffened,
imperial family
and the
said
lightning on her
coldly.
body also
The cultivators
stopped.
in the
A
imperial
trace of
capital were
emptiness
even
appeared
more
in her
shocked.
eyes.
Just
Who
who
was
was
it
it that
that
was so
quickly?
reckless?
The two of them
Did they
waved their
want to
attacks
imitate
and
the
charged
10,000
forward.
ancient races?
Bam!
Did they not know how
Silverflower was
powerful
blasted
the
away,
10,000
and
ancient
she
races
spat
were?
out a mouthful
It was
of
over.
blood.
They
However,
would definitely
her
be
body
killed
didn't
by the
split
array
open.
formation.
The
It was
five-colored
probably
lightning
someone
around
who
her
did not
formed
know
a
the
five-colored
immensity of
armor
heaven
that
and
enveloped
earth.
her body.
Everyone shook
After
their heads
retreating
and
for
sneered.
tens of thousands
At this
of
moment,
miles,
a voice
Silverflower
came from the
stopped.
imposing
She
figure in the
screamed,
sky.
"Damn it, I'm going to
I
kill
am
you."
Immortal Palace's
She was
lord,
truly too
Central
furious.
Emperor Lin Xian.
She was a grand
You dare
archaic
use formations
expert.
against me?
He was actually
The
sent
voice was
flying
filled
by
with
two human
authority
ants.
and a
If
terrifying
news
aura,
of this were to
causing the
spread,
space within
how
the
would she be
imperial
able to
city
maintain her
rapidly
standing
shatter?
among the
Terrifying
10,000 ancient
cracks
races?
appeared one after
He would
another.
probably lose all his
Lin
face.
Xian. It
Soul
was
attack.
Lin Xian
Damn
from
it.
Central Emperor.
You actually have a soul
Countless
attack.
warriors in the
Brat, I
imperial
won't
city
forgive
were
you.
shocked. Silverflower actually came here,
and the power of
one
her
had to know that
bloodline
Lin
burst
Xian's
forth,
reputation
forming
had
a lotus
swept
between
across
her
the continent
eyebrows.
during this period
It
of time.
defended her soul,
There was nothing he
preventing
could do
her
about
opponent
it from using
He had
another
killed
soul
3
attack.
geniuses in a
Killed with
domineering
shout.
manner.
She suddenly
Such a
appeared
battle
beside
record was
Lin
simply
Xian
too
and the
shocking,
dark red divine
especially
dragon,
the other
giving them a
party's
fright.
posture.
What
The other
incredible
party
speed.
was the first among
Lin
the young
Xian's
prodigies
pupils
of
the human
constricted.
race to
His
declare that
opponent's
he was
speed
going
was
to
too
dominate
fast.
the world.
It was hard
The
for them to
generals
react.
and elders of the
In an
imperial
instant,
family
the
were
opponent's
also taken
five-colored
aback.
divine
The
lightning
opponent was
enveloped the
actually
two
a
of them.
central emperor.
There were many cracks
They did
on
not
Lin
expect
Xian's
that Lin
body.
Xian would
The
actually
dark
come
red
here.
mystical dragon's
Furthermore,
body was
just
also
like the
charred
other
black.
prided geniuses,
At the critical
they
moment,
had to descend
Lin
from the
Xian
sky.
roared,
Elder,
"Shall
what should we do?"
The snow-white
The
little
general's
monkey
asked.
instantly rushed
The
out.
elder's expression
Raising
was
its
gloomy
hand
and
it
uncertain.
slapped Silverflower's
He said,
face
"Don't
directly.
activate the array
3
first."
seconds of dizziness.
Soon, he sent
Even
a
a
voice
late-stage
transmission to the
9-star
imperial
king like
city.
Silverflower was
Sure
affected
enough,
by the
a message
snow-white
came from the
monkey's
depths
divine
of
power.
the imperial palace.
These 3 seconds
After
gave
the elders
Lin
heard
Xian
it and the
they
dark
were
red mystical
extremely
dragon
shocked.
an opportunity.
In the next moment,
the two of
they
them
instantly
instantly
rushed
rushed
out
and
of
let
the
other
five-colored
party in.
divine lightning.
At the same time, Lin Xian's eyes exploded with a cold
Yes,
light. They were in urgent need of a prodigy to
directly
make a
drew
name
his
for themselves
dragon-shaped
and
sword and
intimidate the
slashed forward.
10,000 ancient
The dark
races.
red mystical dragon
also spat
they
out a
must defeat
mouthful
the
of
other
thick
party.
blood,
What
staining the dragon's
10,000
scissors.
ancient races?
Buzz. How
The
dare they
dragon's
put on
scissors
such
trembled,
airs?
and the 2
This is the
dragons released
territory of the
endless
human race.
blood-colored light as if
Angry
they had come
roars
alive.
sounded one after
Their
another.
power increased
They were
greatly.
too aggrieved.
Boom.
The
Boom.
10,000
Boom.
ancient
The
races
two's
had
special
earth-shattering
treatment
attacks
everywhere,
landed on
which made them
Silverflower's
very
body.
unhappy.
The
How were
five-colored
they
armor
inferior
on
to the other
Silverflower's
party?
body instantly
Today,
shattered,
they wanted to
and
see
the
with
two
their
rays
own
of
eyes
light
how
sent her
Lin
flying
Xian
again.
would kill the other party.
This time, as
She
more and more
retreated
people
hundreds of
responded,
thousands
their
of miles.
voices turned into tens of
Silverflower
thousands
once
of
again
thunderbolts
spat out
that shook
large
the clouds.
mouthfuls of blood.
The entire
Lin
imperial
Xian's sword,
capital
she
was
even
trembling.
left a sword mark
Even
on her
the
body.
people in the imperial
Injured.
city were shocked
Master
by
is
this
actually
scene.
injured.
What was happening?
Damn it, that's
Were
impossible.
the people outside going
The
to be
4
shocked?
archaic life
In the
forms
imperial
faces
palace,
were filled with
the
fear.
elders of the
They
imperial
didn't dare to
family were
believe that
also
a brat
shocked.
could actually
They all
injure their
stretched out
master.
their souls. Was this heaven-defying? Silverflower stopped, her body trembling with anger. The five-colored thunder surrounded her, enveloping her injuries.
Lin Xian is
here. However,
Moreover,
she frowned. Why are
damn
the
it,
martial
there was an
artists of the
aura
royal
left in her
capital
injuries
so
that her
agitated?
five-colored divine
Lin
lightning
Xian wants
couldn't
to
erase.
challenge a prodigy
What kind
of a
of
race.
sword she was that?
Hurry up and
How
calm
could it
those
be
people
so
down.
terrifying? terrifying. Orders were passed down and many elders hurried out to calm them down. Even with her 30,000 one had to know that most people hated the 10,000 Archean races. There were a few Archean creatures in the royal palace as shadow in this brat's hand. What if these people were angered and attacked the royal palace? One had to know that she estimated that the other party was only a young genius with 20,000 archaic life force. Even if she come out and fight with God Lin Shen, such a terrifying weapon, she could only reach the royal palace if you have the ability. Life force. Lin Shen had cleared the name of the human race and won a large number of archaic life force. At this moment, simply these supporters were all roaring. One had to know that her voices turned into thunder and rolled into the royal life force.
The people in the royal palace instantly understood what was going on. Lower than her. Lin Xian wanted to fight with the prodigy of the serene feather 9-star powerhouse. Outside the royal palace, the other party was only a peerless early stage 8-star royal palace looked at each other. How many realms were there between the two of them? An elder sighed and quickly passed the news to the prodigy of that serene shadow in the other party's hand. Soon, the martial artists of the royal family moved quickly and arrived at the royal other party. She must have obtained that was very quiet and the environment was very good. Angered me. The underground dragon have many treasures on you, there were a few figures sitting there between drinking and chatting. Silver Flower's expression was extremely cold. Their bodies were trembling and their faces were pale. The entire air was filled with violent thunder, as if an apocalyptic heavenly tribulation was about to erupt. The hearts of those maidservants had been dug out. Around her, some of them had even been torn after another, emitting a terrifying aura, hadn't done causing the entire world to change color. They had only been killed by the Archean creatures for fun. Strike. Under the martial artist of the royal family came to the hall, and 5-colored divine lightning was terrifying to the extreme. When he thought of the other party's identity, he looked down on everything. He walked over and told the Archean creatures what had happened outside. The dark red divine dragon roared and recalled the dragon what they were doing and emitted a cold around him, forming a powerful defense. Are you saying that someone dares to challenge me? He once again used the great ability of the dragons to contend with it. Black wings on his back. Lin Xian's expression was also incomparably black gold, and he had to admit that the other party's strength was too strong, and 2 horns on his head was still enough to threaten him. His eyes were incomparably dark, even if he had the 9-young divine body. It wouldn't be enough. He was the prodigy of the dark feather race, the 9-young divine body bloomed with endless light. One of the ancient life forms flashed in his eyes as he searched for a place where the energy between heaven and earth was weak. He quickly used the yin-yang 8 steps to dodge. Are you talking about that Lin Xian who killed 3 primordial geniuses? Waved. Hearing this, through the weak energy of the archaic creatures sank. They naturally knew what had happened before. Chapter 28. The 3 sky prides of the silver electric tribe survived. The heavenly dog when tribe, the storm disappeared and the palm landed on the ground. Lin Xian's body had some wounds, but they weren't serious. The other party soon spread the word that he wanted to dominate the world. The dark red dragon came to Lin Xian's side. Of the supreme ancient immortal realms together to activate the dragon sword shadow. Intolerable and Lin Xian nodded. When these paragons found out the only way, they could only grit their teeth and spat out a mouthful of blood on the dragon would take the initiative to come knocking on their doors before they could even make a move. Trembled as if it had come to life. Yu Yi heard bursting out with his face was extremely gloomy. The light of the 9 heavens and 10 earths was completely pierced by the sword. You think he's easier to deal with? At this moment, what a joke! The 4 archaic creatures knelt on the ground, trembling, non-killing intent, unable to raise their heads. It was abnormally terrifying. Yin Hua's expression also was above Lei Haoyan and the other 2 from the silver electric tribe. Her expression was solemn as she used there was a reason why Lei Haoyan and the other 2 were killed so quickly. At the same time, she took the initiative to attack. Because she knew that the other party's attack was enough and the other party attacked with all his might. Lin Xian roared as he poured all his power into the dragon-shaped sword shadow. He would attack with all his might from the start. The dragon sword shadow rumbled and turned into a giant so arrogant in front of thousands of feet long. Yu Yi stood up, it slashed down from the sky. His body destroyed all the buildings in the main hall. A pair of 5-colored palms creatures beside him reached out and grabbed 2 of the dark red dragon. They opened their mouths and bit off their heads. The dragon-shaped sword shadow in the sky to the ground, slashed down and collided with the 2 5-colored palms. From the royal between heaven and earth by this endless light flickered. These archaic creatures were within 5 million miles was completely enveloped by this terrifying energy. That was right. Boom. In the eyes of these archaic creatures, the mountains collapsed. Humans were ants and slaves that they could kill at will, were turned into ashes by this energy. Gods. The aftermath spread out in all directions like a huge earthquake. They naturally had to deal with the other party. Over from the imperial capital couldn't find it at first. But soon, now that they felt this power, outside their expressions changed as they looked into the distance. Lin Xian? What a terrifying aura. And accept your death. In the distance, the archaic creatures were very arrogant. The sky flashed like a heavenly sword. With his hands behind his back. There were 5-colored divine his black wings spread like open, a heavenly tribulation. Exuding a biting cold over aura. There. It should be that feather race had come out. Let's go and take a look. When the other human cultivators in the direction and quickly rushed over, they cried out in alarm. A collision occurred between heaven and earth. The dark red dragon and from the other party was simply too powerful. The damage caused by the aftermath of this energy was simply too great. There was also a terrifying bloodline. The 2 of them directly entered the black earth. They knew that this was the bloodline power of the 10,000 ancient races. But fortunately, it was much stronger than ordinary people damaged.
It was so oppressive that they could not breathe. Directly turned to dust by this energy. 10,000 ancient races were born to be favored. Silverflower was also heavily injured. Contained so much power that it was through the two beyond the power of the human race and landed on her body. Many human cultivators shook their heads once again. They were simply too envious of this bloodline power. Split her body in half. Among the human race, Silverflower's miserable voice rang out, piercing through the 9 heavens and 10,000 ancient races. It was basically all had bloodline power. Her body was directly split apart. The only difference was the strength of their bloodline. The two halves of the corpse floated in the sky. This difference in talent made these human cultivators feel despair and helpless, forming a sea of blood. The crimson divine dragon narrowed his eyes and let out a loud roar, and the two halves of her body quickly healed together. The dragon's aura was vast and mighty, in an instant sweeping through the heavens and earth again. Then, the aura of the dragon sword, the bloodline pressure of the dark feather race. Even a late-stage 9-star king like Silverflower couldn't completely destroy it. They were extremely shocked it took as they looked at the dark red dragon. But now, where could he find so much time? It was really a dragon. On the other side, the rumors were true, and the dark red dragon walked out again. Lin Xian had a dragon by his side. Lin Xian and this dragon was on their side, and the dark red dragon also exclaimed. They were wild with joy. The dark feather race's faces of the dragon sword soul, even the archaic creatures began to tremble. It can even kill such a terrifying ancient life form. They could not compare to the other party's bloodline pressure. What do we do now? One of them could not even stand steadily, still broken after more than 10 times. This scene made many people asked with a smile. The archaic creatures of the dark feather race were furious. Of course, damn it, will destroy they originally wanted to intimidate the human race and flaunt their strength. So how could he hold back? But they did not expect that they would be slapped in the face and become a joke. Damn kid, who was it? You dare to kill me? They stared at the dark red powerhouse of the silver electric race. Their hearts trembled. If you kill me, they did not dare to be arrogant. Won't let you off. Their gazes moved away from the dark red dragon and landed on Lin Xian. Not only you, but also those three prodigies. You are that Lin Xian? However, I still managed to kill him. Challenge you? You think too much. Such threats are teaching you how to step on you. If you want to threaten me, try something new. Lin Xian sneered, and golden runes flashed in his eyes. He activated the soul ignition secret technique. You're courting death. And Silverflower's soul was enraged to be ignited. The other party's attitude infuriated him. Ah, damn it. One had to know that he usually used this attitude to deal with other human prodigies. She roared crazily, a human martial artist dared to treat him like this sea of blood to crazily wrap around her. He was a high and mighty existence, the sea of blood, and the other party was just a blood person, brat temporarily wrapping around her soul. He roared angrily, Silverflower on his body suddenly erupted. That attack just now had caused heaven and earth injured as well. Darkened. The originally bright day with the sun in the sky turned into night by blood let out a cold voice that one couldn't even see their fingers. The bloody hand waved and covered the two halves of the corpse. It made these martial artists tremble. Controlled the blood in the sky and ran into the distance. These human martial artists activated their battle armors, and their bodies bloomed with light. Too strange. However, her broken body couldn't heal in an instant. This was something she had never encountered before. Not good. So she had the other party's domain. After returning to the clan and healing her domain, she would kill the other party after recuperating. The human martial artists she had to ensure her safety. This domain was too terrifying. Do you think you can? It could suppress all light. Lin Xian snorted and waved the dragon-shaped sword again. They even felt that their soul power was being suppressed. The blood was quickly obliterated. They were probably doomed in an instant. Dark starry sky domain. Of the blood was cut clean. Because the other party wasn't affected, and they couldn't see anything at all. She was really scared. How could they fight? The other party Everyone was terrified. She didn't dare to say for Lin Xian. She just ran crazily with a mere darkness. She quickly formed hand seals and burned her blood to form a bloodline. He activated his 9-yang divine body. She directly tore through the void of rays of light. With a Hong sound, she used a bloodline secret technique into the and burned her blood, moving in all directions. After her. His body turned into a dragon exclaimed. It illuminated all directions. Indeed, the other party the was originally dark space became bright again. Her in an instant. It was even dozens of times brighter than heavenly secret divine Everyone eyes. Was stunned when they saw the golden eyes above his head. The dark starry sky domain was broken. Soon, it was he discovered a monstrous blood creatures of the dark feather race were also shocked. Found her. Yuya's pupils constricted. Ruffian dragon. Used the array formation. Still release light. The two of them activated the array formation. This way, tore through the void of his king's domain would be greatly reduced. What other abilities do you have? Silverflower increased her speed after using a secret technique. Lin Xian then said indifferently. She heaved a sigh of relief. Brat,
She swore that she would definitely take revenge. You can show off in front of me just because you can light up and cut them into tens of thousands of pieces. You're still far from
However,
not long after,
she screamed.
So what if the other party illuminated the light?
Almost wet her pants.
His strength was
the
not
reason for
limited
that
to
was
this.
because she discovered that not far away,
the whole place began to tremble
once again,
and two figures had actually appeared.
Yuya's body intensified.
They're here.
He was like a black hole that
possible?
swallowed everything.
He moved.
Like a black demon
Chapter
king,
2803.
he charged forward at high speed.
This scene scared
a palm
Silver
stretched
Flower
out
as
of
if
her
it had
wits.
reached out from hell.
She used her secret
it carried
technique
an
again
incomparably
and didn't
terrifying
hesitate to burn
energy
her
as
blood
it
to
grabbed
escape.
forward.
Lin
They
Xian
wanted to capture
also
Lin Xian.
activated the array
Lin
formation.
Xian snorted
The
coldly.
two of them flew quickly
Light
in the
bloomed
sky,
from his body,
one in front
and the blood
one
in his
behind.
body roiled.
There were many
He
figures
was like a
in front of
peerless
them.
sun.
They were the
emitting
human
millions of rays
cultivators
of light.
who were rushing
Boom,
over to watch the battle.
A terrifying
Silver
radiance
Flower
soared
didn't
into
know
the sky,
She
blocking
thought
the
that these
large
people were
black
called
palm.
over by Lin
Not only
Xian to
that,
surround
but the
and kill
light
her.
seemed to carry
Therefore,
an
she
incomparably
screamed,
monstrous
"Damn
flame
human,
that wanted to
go
burn
to
the
hell."
black palm. With a
As
furious
expected
roar,
of the central
the terrifying
emperor,
blood
it was
turned into a
indeed
blood
terrifying.
sword and rushed
Even
forward,
without moving,
slashing
the
forward.
light emanating
In an
from his
instant,
body was more
the
than
void
enough
in
to
front
fend
of
off the other
shattered.
party's attack.
Many human
That's right,
cultivators were
Lin Xian
instantly
is
killed.
really too
There were
strong.
even a few
The prodigies of the
invincible
human
kings among
race
them.
are indeed
Seeing
terrifying.
this scene,
The
human
remaining
race
warriors
cultivators
screamed like they had
exclaimed
gone
in
mad.
shock.
Damn
They
it,
were too
demon,
excited
he's a
because
demon.
the strength
He
that Lin
killed
Xian
several
had displayed
invincible
made
kings
them
with a
extremely
single sword
excited.
strike, and
On
brought
the other
so
side,
many peerless
the archaic
almighties with
creatures
him.
from the serene
Was this
feather
something
race
a human
had
could
gloomy
do?
expressions
The
as they
powerhouses
gritted their
of the
teeth.
10,000 Archean
Impossible.
races were too
Damn it,
terrifying.
This brat must
Damn
have
it,
used
was
all
Lin
his
Xian
strength to be
fighting
able to
with such a
fight
person?
against our prodigies.
Where was he?
Could it be that he had been killed? No way. Did you say that Lin Xian had died? They could not
These
believe
people
what
were
they were
extremely
seeing.
shocked.
Yu Ye's
Many of the
expression was
saints
even
and
colder.
saintesses' eyelids
His
twitched.
eyes shone with a piercing
Indeed,
light. Such an ancient
with a
powerhouse
furious
had
roar,
exceeded their
the
range
large
of tolerance.
black palm exploded
They probably
once again.
couldn't even
Black
withstand
runes
a
appeared on it as
from
it
the other
slammed
party.
down.
If
Directly
Lin Xian were to
piercing through
fight
the
with
countless
such a
rays
person,
of light,
the odds would
it
be stacked
completely
against
enveloped
him.
Lin Xian.
The people from the
Go to hell,
Yingyang
brat.
sect and the
At this
Tuoba
moment,
family
Yu
all
Yi was
sneered.
truly enraged.
If Lin Xian was really
Boom.
killed,
Boom.
it would be great.
Boom.
It would be
The
something
large
worth
black
celebrating.
palm covered the sky
However,
and covered
very
everything.
soon they were
It
stunned.
directly grabbed
Their
Lin Xian.
expressions became
There was
extremely
only
darkness
ugly,
in front
and
of
their
them.
eyes were
No
filled
one could
with
see through
intense
it.
fear.
Even their
They
soul
all
power
trembled
could not
because
see what
the
was
void
going on
not
inside.
far away cracked
Yu Yi
open,
smiled
and
when he
two
saw
figures
this.
walked out.
The archaic
It was Lin
creatures from the
Xian
serene
and the dark
feather
red
race
divine
raised
dragon.
their heads and
After
laughed.
Lin Xian came out,
what
he
prodigy
slashed
of the
forward
human
with
race.
his sword.
In front
Let's
of the
see where you can
10,000
escape.
ancient races,
He
seeing that
is
the other
nothing.
party was chasing
That's
after
right.
her again,
I thought that he was
Silver
some
Flower
powerful
screamed
figure
and
who
turned
could
into
fight
a
against
wave
our
of blood
prodigies.
that rolled into
I
the
didn't
distance.
expect that he was
Damn
just a
brat,
figurehead.
just you wait.
He is
I won't
not
let
a
you
match
off.
for our prodigies
She
at all.
screamed as she
These
ran.
archaic creatures
Lin
were
Xian
very
and
arrogant.
the dark red divine
On the other
dragon
hand,
quickly
the
gave
human
chase.
cultivators
The
were shocked.
surrounding human
Not
ancient
good.
martial
Lin
art
Xian
practitioners
were
were stunned.
He won't be
Their
in
minds
danger,
were blank,
right?
and they
I
could
don't
not
know.
believe what they
This
were seeing.
large palm is
What did they
very
see?
terrifying
Lin
and can
Xian
destroy
was
everything.
pursuing an
I'm
ancient
afraid
powerhouse,
that Lin Xian is in
and
danger.
this ancient powerhouse
Not necessarily.
could casually kill
The
several
Nine-Yang
invincible
divine
kings.
body is stronger
Heavens,
than we
how is
imagined.
this possible?
He should be fine.
I'm not dreaming.
These
am
people
I?
discussed
When did
animatedly.
Lin Xian become
However,
so powerful?
they were
These
incomparably
people were all
nervous
crazy
because they could not
the
see the
saints and
situation
saintesses
inside.
in particular.
No
were
one
trembling
can fight
in
against
fear.
me.
Not
Previously,
to mention,
you
they had
humans.
thought that Lin Xian
Yu Yi
had been
stood
killed,
in the void,
but who would have
the
thought
large
that
black
things were
palm
not
let
as
out
they
a
had
rumbling
imagined?
sound.
It was Lin
Boundless
Xian
black
chasing
cheese
after
spread
the
out
experts
as if
of
to
the
refine
10,000
Lin Xian.
ancient races.
This scene shocked
This scene
everyone
was simply
even more.
too shocking. However,
Lin
not
Xian
long
was
after,
incomparably
an explosion
domineering,
sounded in the
chasing
sky,
after
and
Silver
the
Flower
entire
until she
space
had no
trembled
path
violently.
to heaven and no
Even
door
the
to hell.
large black hand
Finally,
trembled.
at 9 million
This was
miles,
not Yu Yi
Lin
activating
Xian
the
caught
array
up to him.
formation,
Using
but
the
the person
great dragon
inside
sword
seemed to be
soul
about
and
to
the
rush
heavenly
out.
fate god
Yu
Eye.
Ye's
He
expression
destroyed his
changed when
opponent's
he saw
soul.
this. Just as
Two
he was about
halves
to
of the
activate
body
his
fell to
power,
the ground,
a sword
sinking
light
the ground.
lit up in the next
A
moment.
sea of blood
It
surged
swept
and
across the
enveloped
9
the
heavens
surroundings.
and 10 lands
Within a
as if it had
radius
become
of
5
eternal
million
miles.
miles.
It shone
was
between
directly
heaven
shattered.
and earth.
Nothing
light
could be
was
done
so
about it.
dazzling that everyone could not open their eyes. Powerhouse. The large black palm was also cut in half. Terrifying energy. From inside, every drop was incomparably terrifying. This person was Lin Xian. Kid, don't waste this blood. His entire body bloomed with light as the dark red divine dragon began to set up an array. Surrounded him, the array making him look like a peerless war surrounding blood. Lin Xian rushed out from inside. It was just right to use it to temper the 9 young divine body. Lin Xian's voice was cold. Buzz. He entered the array, and the endless blood of the ancient powerhouse drowned the two of heaven and earth. This blood there was a loud, monstrous, killing, terrifying energy as it constantly bombarded Lin Xian's body. Spirit chi fragments that scattered across heaven and earth. He began to cultivate according to the cultivation technique of the 9 yang divine body. The ancient creatures were stunned. This scene was too terrifying. Monstrous blood energy soared into the sky. That shocking aura was something that even invincible kings did not dare to casually step into. However, after that, the surrounding human martial art practitioners did not dare to approach at all. They could only watch this terrifying Central Emperor Lin Xian be defeated so easily. They were all guessing if that ancient powerhouse had fallen. Moreover, no one dared to go and watch. Chapter 28:19. Even invincible kings were not enough to deal with that level of powerhouse. He swung his sword and slashed forward. A group of figures descended. Get lost. These people were dressed in strange clothes, and they were very on his back flapped. There were terrifying patterns on their bodies. The two of them engaged in a fierce battle. They were not humans. Terrifying energy These were the people of the ancient demon spider group. Luckily, after they left the imperial city, they came to this peerless array to look for the entire 8,000-year-old spiritual herb. This attack would definitely destroy the entire imperial damaged ruin, which should have been left behind. The energy in the sky shot up into the clouds, stirring up the wind and terrifying remnants of the array. Everyone was mesmerized by the scene. There were even a few terrifying demon kings guarding the area. Stabbed out with his sword, after all, piercing through the 8,000-year-old spiritual herb was not only wanted by these ancient creatures, but also by those powerful demon kings. His body was pierced, the young man of the ancient demon spider clan, he let out a pitiful subordinates and began to break the array. On his body, he had even energy surged as he tried to break free. Boom, 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 boom. The surrounding space shattered, trembled, and the surrounding mountains kept spinning as if there was an earthquake. Black hurricanes. The sky shook and the earth shook, trying to destroy the ancient sword. What happened? However, he could not do it. Demon king had the sword light in front of him was demon spider clan, and it destroyed all his attacks. Four souls not only that, also frowned, he could feel the piercing light burst out from his body, exploding, sweeping in all directions, to tear his body apart. However, he did not find at this critical moment he was very decisive. The next moment, he looked up at the sky, and his body exploded appeared in his bloody mist. At this moment, then reassembled the sky in the distance. Was dyed red, and a boundless aura was gathering in this direction. And with a wave of his hands, terrifying, a black saber appeared and the other ancient demon spiders the other party had forced him to self-destruct. They all rose into the air and looked into the distance. He would definitely take revenge. What a terrifying in the distance, had the peerless warriors were shocked? Or was he practicing some strange cultivation at a disadvantage? They looked into the distance, especially the archaic creatures. The monstrous energy contained in the sea of blood was too terrifying. Our prodigy must have been careless. This blood is so familiar. He would definitely not lose again. Terrifying power as thunder and lightning. He exploded. Could it be the blood of a powerhouse of the silver lightning restrained the ancient sword? An ancient creature muttered in a low voice. The ancient dragon abyss sword flying. As soon as this was said, the expressions of the others changed drastically. Even charged in front of Lin Xian. Nonsense. The long blade in his hand was about to chop off Lin Xian's head. Although three geniuses have fallen, the ancient dragon of them added together isn't as terrifying as this, tearing apart the 9 heavens and 10 peerless powerhouse. At the same time, who can kill such a powerhouse? Pair of huge hands sent a pair of black sabers flying. The ancient creatures were puzzled. He directly grabbed the pair of black wings and pulled with force. The situation is not simple. Was torn in half. Perhaps a terrifying human powerhouse has made a move, as if countless ghosts were howling, causing everyone's scalp to go numb. Those ancient life forms screamed like they had gone mad. 2804. Their heavenly geniuses carefully hid their auras and ignored the terrifying sea of blood. Yu roared like a madman. They sped up their attacks. He wanted to heal his damaged ruins, but Lin Xian on the other side to let go. In the endless sea of blood, strength was so great that Yu was unable to escape, absorbing the power in the blood. The blood that filled the sky surged and turned into thousands of mountains shot towards Lin Xian. Finally, when they hit Lin Xian's let out a long they made clanging and the sea of blood that filled the sky didn't have to dodge it all. The energy was all absorbed by him and the dark red divine dragon. All the swords flying. His divine body had broken through to the 6th stage. You don't have the right to be arrogant in front of me. His strength and defense were much stronger than before. The dark red divine dragon's strength had also increased. At this moment, the dragon was like a peerless god of war, bringing extremely powerful, monstrous pressure. His arms shook, awesome, shattering really the void. Awesome. The dark red divine dragon roared, preventing the two halves of Yu's really body that he could kill a few more of these ancient powerhouses. Like a madman. Indeed, his soul temporarily left his body. These ancient powerhouses contained extremely terrifying the ancient dragon abyss sword above his head. Their energy was not inferior to the spiritual dragon-shaped sword aura and slashed down from the sky. This kind of thing could only be encountered by destroyed Yuye's soul. Lin Xian had spent a lot of effort to kill this silver flower. Kid, let's go back. Soul didn't even have time to scream before electric powerhouses. After the soul was destroyed, race will the two halves of his body stopped struggling and fell into the void. Out, it'll be terrifying sea of blood surged, making a roaring sound that shook the heavens. He planned to go back and cultivate the entire seclusion for a while to increase his strength as if the end of the world had arrived. With the 10,000 ancient races coming out, daring to believe it. There would probably be more and more monsters, and the Serene Knight race had died. Moreover, and he had been easily killed by Lin Xian. One of the stronger ones among the 10,000 ancient extremely shocked. They were not the royal race or the royal race of the Serene Knight race. One could imagine that the powerhouses of the royal race and the royal race would be even more terrifying. You're dead. He had to increase his strength as soon as possible in order to compete with these people. I definitely don't believe it. These people roared at this moment they had gone mad. A golden light suddenly flashed in the distance, wanting to attack a thunderous sound. In the end, they were killed by Lin Xian's terrifying scene was shocking. This scene caused the remaining archaic and the dark red divine dragon were taken aback by the aura. The other party was too strong. Was there a powerful enemy? Lin Xian snorted coldly and threw the two halves of the corpse in his hands to the ground. One had to know that their strength had just increased and was much stronger than before. In all directions. However, that light still shocked them. This guy isn't the first prodigy I've killed, and he won't be the last. The dark red dragon felt to challenge the human race. He must pay the corresponding price. Lin Xian quickly used his heavenly secret god eyes. The human race martial artists were in the sky looked into the distance. They raised their arms and cheered loudly. Within the lush mountain, within the ruined cave Central Emperor, a formation flickered. A streak of excited, light too emotional, directly killing several definitely make the human race proud. The others also the dark red divine dragon also waved its dragon from the ancient demon's treasure bottle. It directly collected the two halves of the corpse and their blood that filled the sky. His face was incomparably ugly. This was great. They had tried to force their way out of the cultivation resources. Who would have thought that after so many years, the formation would still be so terrifying? He turned to look at the people around him and asked in a low voice that directly killed a few of his subordinates. Who knew if there were other prodigies nearby? Even he almost died here. It was said that there were prodigies of the flying mantis race nearby. My lord, what should we do? Know if they were still there. The ancient life forms' faces turned gloomy. There seemed to be prodigies of the green vine race their injuries and wanted to attack. Someone said another piece of news. He suddenly raised his head and looked at the sky. He tore the void and there was soared into the sky with the dark red down at them coldly, leaving the imperial capital. The eyes were too cold, there might giving them a sense of oppression in their souls. The people in the imperial capital above the nine heavens was ruthlessly looking down at the imperial capital to search for Lin Xian. Retreat quickly. In an instant, most of the martial artists had left. A small number of people were crazily retreated into the distance. How could they not share such a shocking news? The ancient life forms also quickly retreated. Creatures of the dark feather race were so angry that their bodies were trembling. Their prodigy had been killed, and even his corpse had been taken away. How were they going to explain this when they returned? That in the distant mountain range, there were several corpses of ancient life forms, and blood was flowing. There was also a broken ancient cave dwelling. They also tore the void and quickly left. The dark red imperial capital calmed down once again. What did you see? The elders and supreme existences told him what he saw. In the imperial palace, after hearing naturally this, watched the dark red dragon narrowed its eyes, flashed. It seems that it should be was really impressive. However, he could kill an archaic prodigy so easily. Life forms. He must have touched the formation just now, so he launched that attack. Chapter 28:20. He thought so too. Yes, as expected, he said one of the top prodigies of the human life forms seemed to be from the ancient demon spider clan that he encountered in the palace. He had killed the ancient demon spider clan. The dark red dragon was also surprised. Races won't let him off. It seems that there must be naturally from the Emperor's cave dwelling. Now that Lin Xian was in the limelight and was so powerful, they naturally couldn't attack him directly. If it was really those people in the imperial capital, he was not afraid now. Archean races, although there were many ancient life whereabouts to them, and there was a young man exactly who looked very powerful. He and the dark red dragon's strength were enough to deal killing the dark feather race's prodigy. They decided to go and check it out. Across the true spirit martial continent, they were very thirsty for energy now. The world was turned into rainbows, and everyone was toward the distant mountain range. Not long after, they descended from the sky. Heavens. The dark red dragon was too strong. Ancient life forms really going to dominate the world?
and there were
I feel like the
terrifying energy
10,000
remnants
Archean
in the
races
surroundings.
are finished.
Lin Xian looked around and found that there was no one around.
Could contend against
the other
him.
ancient
Everyone
life
was
forms should have
extremely
left.
excited and
the dark red
discussed
dragon looked at the ancient cave
when the
dwelling in
10,000
front of it,
Archean races
and its
heard this,
eyes shone
they
with
gritted their
understanding.
teeth in anger.
What a terrifying
They swore
formation.
that they would definitely
Although it's
find
so
and
broken,
kill him.
It still has
However,
such a strong
not long
attack
after,
power. Another
no
piece
wonder
of
it
news
can
came.
kill so many
Yi Wudao
ancient
fought a
life forms
prodigy
in an
of the
instant.
blue ghoul race
Can we
and
break
won
it?
easily. Lin Xian asked.
Yi Wudao
Don't
also
worry,
attacked?
who am I? Everyone
Is
was
there a
even more
formation that
shocked.
I can't break?
There was also
Give me
news
some
from the
time,
Western
I
Desert.
promise I'll break it.
Dustless fought
The dark
a prodigy
red
of the
dragon
lightning
swayed its
blood
tail,
race and
rushed
successfully
forward,
converted
and began
him
to
into
study
a
the
Buddhist
formation.
sect. This
Lin
scene was
Xian
even
also
more
came
shocking.
forward,
and
an
the two of them
Archean
prepared
prodigy
to
was
work
actually
together to break
converted
it.
into a
In the
Buddhist
distance,
sect.
the four
This was
souls
even
led
more
the ancient
terrifying
demon
than killing
spiders
him.
away from the
This
ancient
dustless
palace
was
and
seriously
retreated
too
into the
terrifying.
distance.
What
However,
kind of
they
method
did
did
not
he
leave.
use?
Even
After
those
all,
people
they
of
were
the older
determined to get
generation
the
had faces
8,000-year-old
full of
elixir
fear.
in the ancient
The
cave
10,000
dwelling.
ancient races
However,
were
they had
also
to lie
shocked.
low for now.
Damn it! The four
Could this
souls
be the
formed a
legendary
seal with
and
their
incomparably
palms, and a
terrifying
strange light
salvation
appeared
scripture?
in their eyes.
Some of the
Around
grand
the
elders
ancient
of
cavern,
the sacred grounds
the
were
eyes of the
puzzled.
corpses of
The
the
Sutra
ancient
of
life
salvation
forms that
was
had been
an
killed
extremely
suddenly
ancient
moved.
ability.
They also
Legend had
flickered
it
with
that
this
this cultivation
light and
technique
began
didn't
to
have
move.
much offensive power, but it could convert
This
people.
scene was very strange.
Once the Sutra of Salvation
Lin Xian
was
did
used,
not notice
it
it
could
because he
convert
did not
everything
expect
into
that
a
the
Buddhist
eyes of the
sect.
dead could not move.
Now, it seemed that Dustless had very likely mastered
Is it a
this
human
ancient
holy
Sutra
lord
level
level
salvation.
powerhouse?
The three
ancient
titled
demon
prodigies
spiders
had all
in the
made a
distance
move,
asked, which made
the four
everyone look
souls shook
forward
his
to
head.
it. They
No,
wondered
damn
how
it,
the
it's
South
that
the
kid,
Arch,
Yan
it's that Lin
Nantian,
Xian,
was doing.
What? Everyone
Are you
was
talking
discussing
about the Immortal Palace
However,
clan?
they realized
He
that there
actually
wasn't
came
much
here?
news about
Is he
Yan
going to rob
Nantian.
us?
Could it be that he didn't make a move? They were puzzled. As for that
Chapter
northern demon, he was
2805.
too mysterious.
For souls also
He hadn't
frowned.
appeared yet. That shouldn't
Eastern
be the case.
wilderness.
I
In the
already
middle
told
of
that
that
swamp in the
silver flower,
mountains, the earth
logically
split
speaking,
open with
and a
silver
black
flower
head
strength.
appeared.
She should be
Across
able
from
to
him,
easily
a
kill
blue
the other
figure.
party.
The blue
But why
figure's
was the
eyes
other
flickered
party
as
still
he
alive?
spoke in a deep
Could
voice.
it be that silver
Who would have
flower
thought
did
that
not
this Lin
encounter
Xian
the
would
other
be so
party?
unexpected?
Thinking about
Previously,
he felt
he had
that there was
conferred the
only
title
such
of
a
middle
possibility
emperor
because he wanted
never
to borrow
thought
the
that the
hands
two
of the
sides
saints
would
to
meet,
kill him,
and silver
who would
flower
have
would be
thought that
killed.
not only did they
In his
fail to
view,
kill him,
this was
but they
impossible.
also allowed him to
He was
grow
very
stronger
clear
and
about
stronger.
how powerful silver
Now,
flower's
even the
strength was.
primordial
How could
geniuses
this
were
kid
no match
possibly
for him.
contend with the
What
one in
should
front
we
of
do?
him?
Should he
However,
use some more
when he
power
saw
to
Lin
kill him?
Xian and the
The
dark
black
red
head
divine
asked.
dragon
The
cracking
blue
the
figure
array
shook his
formation.
head. His
There's
eyes
no
lit
need.
up, and the corners
Things
of
are
his
out of
mouth
our control.
curled into a cold
This
smile.
kid has too many
Don't
secrets.
act rashly. Other
These
than the
two
9
people
young
seem to have
divine
a certain
body,
level
there
of
are more
attainment in array
terrifying
formations.
secrets.
His
They are
sword
cracking
chi
the
is
array
too sharp.
formation of the
It's not
ancient
something
cave
an
mansion.
ordinary sword king can
wait
release.
for them to crack the
Even
array
a peerless
formation,
sword
then we'll
technique shouldn't
charge
be
in
able to
and
do
snatch
that.
that
I suspect
8,000-year-old
that he has a
spirit
terrifying
medicine.
attack
At
power.
the same time,
A terrifying
kill these two
attack
people.
power.
A cruel
black
light
head
emerged
puzzled.
in his eyes. The
The
mysterious
others
man
laughed
in
as
blue
well.
nodded. Yes,
That's right.
That ancient
Think
array
about it.
formation was
The
too
Eastern
great a
wilderness
threat to
sacred
them.
body
A
is the
divine
descendant
light
of the
directly
arch.
killed several of their companions. They did not dare to face it anymore. Now that
He has a
someone
lot
helped
of
them
blood
crack
in his
the array
body.
formation,
Moreover,
that was really
the
too
sacred
good.
body is
These
a
people
terrifying
all
body
waited here
constitution.
patiently.
In
This
addition,
wait lasted
he's in
for
the
8
hands
days.
of a clan of
On
the
this
ancients.
day, Lin
He must
Xian
have
and
the
the dark red
inheritance
divine
of the
dragon
arch.
made a move
It's
and
natural
finally
that he's
found
powerful.
the flaw of the array
The South,
formation,
the arch has the
successfully
inheritance
cracking
of the
array
arch.
formation.
Of course,
with
he's
a crack,
terrifying.
that ancient
Wu-Chin
peerless
from the
killing
Western
intent
Desert
is the
disappeared,
reincarnation
and the light
of
of
the
the
array
ancient
formation also
He has
dimmed.
the memories of
Seeing
his
this
previous
scene,
life.
Lin Xian and
His
the dark
bloodline
red
power
divine
is
dragon
probably
both
terrifying
breathed a
too.
sigh of relief.
Moreover,
In the distance,
the
in the
Thousand
endless
Buddha
mountain
Temple
range,
also has the
for
inheritance
souls and
of
these
the arch.
ancient demon spider
These
race
three could be
creatures
said to
also
have
cheered
powerful
wildly in
bloodlines and
excitement.
terrifying
Great is
inheritances.
cracked. But
Finally
what about Lin
cracked.
Xian? Did not
It's true
expect
that
these
Lin
two guys
Xian
to
has
have
the
such
9
high
young divine
attainments in
body.
array formations.
But that alone isn't
to be
enough
able to
for him to contend against Yi Wudao formation. Then what are we waiting for?
He also
Let's
has
hurry
the
up and go.
inheritance of the arch.
For souls stood up, and with a wave of their hands,
You're
they
saying that he has the
inheritance
of the arch.
In front,
The black
Lin
head
Xian
was
and the
shocked
dark
after
red
hearing
divine
this.
dragon prepared
The
to enter
inheritance
after
of
the
the
arch
broke
is
the
so
array
tempting.
formation.
Only
However,
sacred
they frowned
grounds and
instead.
aristocratic
They
families
perceived
with
a
extreme
powerful
energy
energy have such
fluctuation
things.
coming from behind.
The other sacred
Many
grounds and
figures
great
flickered,
sects have never
flying
had
towards
the
this
arch.
side.
Naturally,
Someone's
they can't
coming.
have such great
Lin Xian's
inheritances.
eyes flashed with
Of
a golden
course,
light,
people
and
like
his face
Yan
sank.
Nantian are
It was a
very
member
rare.
of the
The
ancient
Yan
demon
family
spider
isn't
clan.
of the arch family. But Yan Nantian is very lucky. They couldn't have been waiting here for us to break the formation, he accidentally obtained the dark red divine dragon, instantly understood the reason behind the true spirit world. These guys actually dared to let us take the lead and reap the benefits of others. He really wanted to kill them. This is even more shocking. Lin Xian said in a low voice. Thearka's inheritance do you think he obtained? He turned around, and the two of them specializes in different domains as they stared at the six primordial creatures that had appeared before them. The person at the front was none other than the fourth soul. He brought his 5 subordinates to the sky and looked down at Lin Xian. Is extremely terrifying. Kid, I didn't expect you to be able to break the formation. Could be said to have swept through the 9 heavens and 10 earths. Since you've broken the formation, he was known as the Arch with the most terrifying offensive power in a million years. If you have any last words, that he fought his way into the immortal path and almost entered the immortal domain. Sneered. Unfortunately, down at Lin Xian and the dark red divine dragon as if they were looking at dead people. Even though the arch-shaman was heaven divine dragon, he still couldn't enter the immortal domain. You want to kill us? In the end, his lifespan ran out and he died. Come here, I'll slap you to death. There were too many legends about the arch-shaman. Also sneered. His offensive power was very strong. The powerful silver flower. When he first entered the sage realm, he caught an emperor weapon with his bare hands. When he became a great sage, he had already killed a quasi-emperor level peerless expert. Lin Xian's body burst out with after he became a half-emperor. There was a great you really don't know what's good for you. Do you think you can contend against me just because you killed 3 terrifying transgeniuses? The true spirit world is in danger. Let me tell you, the human race is in danger. The strongest of the 3 silver lightning clan geniuses only has 12,000 units of archaic power. With a sword in the sky. However, he swept through all 18,000 units of finally quelled the turmoil. I can also easily kill all 3 of them together against several terrifying enemies alone with a sword. Kneel down obediently. In the end, he won, and I'll give you a quick death. He even scared those terrifying existences. Away. I'll make you wish you were dead. It can be said that in terms of offensive power, before our Lord gets angry, that can compare to him. The primordial creatures beside him also hooted really enviable. Lin Xian narrowed his eyes after hearing this. Had finished speaking. 18,000 units of archaic power exploded with a biting powerful light. But no hurry. He could even have the inheritance of the Arch. Who had 30,000 if he really has the inheritance of the Arch, let alone a mere I can play with him then. Moreover, he didn't need to use the dragon-shaped sword Shadow. His own strength was enough to kill the opponent. Chapter 28-21. One had to know that according to the dark red divine dragon, the blue-robed man's voice became fainter and fainter until it disappeared. Now, his Lin Xian didn't know that he was being watched by someone who had almost discovered his estimated to be around 22,000 units. He was related to the Shaman Great Emperor, the dark red divine dragon beside him also had about 21,000 units. He obtained something that the Shaman Great Emperor once had. Where did the other party get the confidence to show off in front of them? The mysterious blue-robed man didn't guess it correctly. He was pretty close to the mark. Hand over all your ancient treasures. Everyone in the world will probably attack him. Each of you will give me half of your primordial blood. Ancient races, I can spare your lives. But even the human race wouldn't be able to resist. Lin Xian's words had completely angered these primordial creatures. Soul was a terrifying existence. They would give him half of their blood and give him all their treasures. He could very well become the next great emperor. 10,000 ancient races, didn't know about this. And mighty. He was currently controlling the black earth to fly at full speed. A slave dared to looking for his next target. He really didn't know what time was. The prodigy of the green vine race was so angry that his face darkened. Had an extraordinary origin. I've decided that our ancestor was a natural green vine. He roared angrily and charged over. Years of nurturing the primal chaos. Very arrogant. He cultivated to become a terrifying existence, enveloping Lin Xian and the dark red divine dragon. The green vine race was still he wanted to capture the two of them 10,000 ancient races. This was because he was very confident. The void trembled as a terrifying power made him too powerful, tearing the 9 heavens unless apart. It was an even more terrifying existence from the ancient royal family into the sky, or the imperial family, transforming into heavenly pillars that enveloped the black earth. Otherwise, the black earth would be an extremely terrifying senior figure. His brows. He didn't put the dark red divine dragon in his eyes at all. A shrill cry. Looking at this scene, Lin Xian was expressionless. Who is so reckless as to attack us and punched out. Lin Xian's eyes emitted a golden light as he stared at the green very violent. The 9 suns curled into a cold smile like a sun, meeting the prodigy from the green vine group. Lin Xian originally wanted to look for him, but he didn't expect him to come knocking on his door. This punch directly blasted the secret divine into pieces. Lin Xian discovered that the green light pillars weren't ordinary light pillars of the ground, but vines. The fourth soul they were too big as if he had gone crazy. That was why they created such a non-stop, and his vines were too terrifying. The ancient life forms in the surroundings were also stunned.
The other party had actually broken their lord's attack with a single punch, and even crippled their lord between heaven and earth. This made them incredulous. Inside the black earth, Lin Xian coldly snorted. Then his figure flashed and he walked out. 2806. He looked at the huge vines in the sky. Could it be that the other party used some terrifying weapon from the Green Vine Clan? Figure it out? That's right, I'm Greenwood. Screamed again. Since you dared to kill one of my primordial geniuses, spewed out balls of flames that enveloped the remaining half of the palm. Even as the voice echoed out, whoosh, more and more vines was burning rapidly. Soon, the dark red dragon's area for hundreds of thousands of kilometers was completely covered by vines. Half of the Four Souls Hall's arm was ignited. In the sky, he screamed those terrifying vines, and the mysterious patterns on his body appeared, transforming into long spears that pierced towards Lin Xian. His body was charred black, vines were too terrifying, pale, and they were even more terrifying than heaven-tier treasures. Spewing flames. There were cyan runes on it. You've completely angered me. Terrifying power I'm going to tear you into pieces. Behind them, the human warriors and the broken arm was restored again. To watch the battle immediately stopped when the patterns on his body became more and more terrifying. Not behind him, retreat quickly. Few black branches appeared. The peerless genius there were the yellow flower roots on them, making them look like tree branches. The Green Vine Clan is so terrifying. They would find that they were the human warriors behind them. They were like originally from the ancient demonic spider clan. Although they were so far away, and their main bodies were large spiders. A wave of fear. At this moment, in the face of such a terrifying attack, transformed into their main bodies. Sneered disdainfully. 8 spider feet bared their fangs and brandished their claws. Fist illuminated each of them was like a peerless divine spear. It was like a sun that pierced away the surrounding vines. Charging toward Lin Xian and the dark red dragon. He waved his arm, and streaks of sword chi slashed forward. 8 silhouettes that looked like divine spears pierced through the void. In an instant, they arrived beside Lin Xian and the dark red dragon and slashed forward. He didn't hold back at all. Many of the surrounding vines were cut in half by the sword heavenly gums and fell from the sky. In his opinion, this time, the other party was definitely dead for sure. You don't know what's good for you, and the surrounding vines became even more took a step forward. Above his hands shone with golden light as he resisted the surrounding sword chi. He grabbed between heaven and spears. There was an intense collision. With a crack, large cracks were everywhere, and terrifying black holes were formed. And earth shattering as the sound rang out, an invisible force spread out in all directions. Splattered again. The surrounding mountains, rivers, was in so much pain that it almost and ceased to exist. Its claws were easily broken by the other party. It was as if they were going to destroy the world. He was too shocked. Lin Xian's eyes shone with a piercing light power. His aura also rose instantly. He was like a peerless sword god, was stronger than him, sharper and sharper. He couldn't accept it. In the sky, in the next moment, he screamed again because his other in a green robe also shattered by the dark red dragon. His face was cold, and his aura of his claws were broken. It was the peerless sky pride of the Green Vine Clan. Damn it, kill them. Kill them. A long green whip appeared in his hand, and he threw and ordered his subordinates to attack. With a swing of the whip, he needed time to recover, and the earth cracked. Those archaic creatures quickly used the yin-yang 8 steps. Although the other party's strength, within 8 steps, they had no choice but to obey. Extremely fast. Furthermore, and he quickly dodged the green whip. Formed a terrifying killing formation. He drew the ancient dragon abyss sword and released streaks of terrifying sword chi. Sure enough, the 5 of them stood separately in the air. Their weapons clashed in the dark red divine and it was a terrifying aura surged from their bodies, gloomy and mysterious patterns and wanted to kill the human in front of him. They were exchanging blows with his opponent. He was still shocked. An illusory figure appeared in the middle of the 5 of them. After exchanging a few blows, it was an ancient illusory figure that emitted an incomparably terrifying aura. His opponent was indeed powerful to be able to kill so many Archeans of them. Of yellow patterns covered it. However, he would not lose. Its cold eyes were like an arcane beast looking down on the world. It was too terrifying. His vitality was vigorous, and he had an extremely activated by their bloodline power. It could be said that it was impossible to kill him had about 12,000 unless those terrifying sacred leaders and sect leaders killed him in one blow for him. Otherwise, as long as he was still breathing, he would not die. By combining all of their powers were part of the Green Vine Clan, and also his trump card. So its now, aura seemed to be stronger than the Four Souls any regard for anything else. Them, the Four Souls Hall had recovered from his injuries. And clouds changed between heaven and earth, but he gritted his energy surged and rushed over. The sun, moon, he opened his mouth and spat out a mouthful of blood essence on the archaic transformed into a green dragon. He also activated his bloodline power. Hundreds of thousands of miles away, roared, the human experts were watching the battle on its body. Various secret it became techniques. More and more solid. They were very nervous. It was as if a real they discovered that beast had been resurrected. Was even more terrifying than the Yi from before. His power rose again. They knew that the Green Vine clan had an extremely strong recovery ability as the leader, so they were very nervous. The other 5 archaic creatures attacked together to activate the archaic shadow. Not only were they watching, they were courting death. The experts of the Nine Li dynasty were also pulled out his ancient sword. Apart from these humans, from his body, a dozen arcane creatures were also gathered in a certain city of the Nine Li dynasty. They stood with their heads behind their backs, looking up at the sky. Down. Not a single human dared to take a step into their surroundings were descending. At this moment, the terrifying archaic shadow, paying attention to the situation above, spider, was split in half by the sword. The 5 archaic creatures that attacked also suffered a backlash and were torn apart. 22. Even the 4 soul Hall's body was cut in half. Moreover, he was in so much pain that he screamed and rolled in the sky. No wonder he could kill so many Archean prodigies. How is this possible? One of the Archean creatures had a gloomy extremely terrified. It seemed like the human race still was able to injure 6 of them. The other person was too terrifying. So what? One had to know that their attack just now in front of the 10,000 Archean races archaic power. He's definitely dead. Even so, they couldn't do anything to the other party. Originally, who was the other party? The Archean royal prodigies take care of him, strength was above 20,000 archaic power. The Greenwood prodigies. He didn't dare to imagine. Don't worry, he's definitely dead. The one who don't want to leave, also then go to hell creature from the Green Vine race. Lin Xian's fingers moved, other Archean creatures all turned their heads through the souls of the 5 could it be that Brother Greenwood is confident? In the next moment, he arrived in front of the 4 souls hall creature from the Green Vine race, ancient dragon abyss sword in his hand. This time, no, Brother you can't kill me. Brought the Greenwood sword. I'm the young master of the archaic demonic spider clan. Terrifying half-saint weapon? If you kill me, you're dead. That's right. It's that half-saint archaic demonic spider clan. When the surrounding human cultivators heard this, they were my grandfather is a grand elder. So what if he had a half-saint weapon? Screamed crazily. Lin Xian had one too. His identity was extremely extraordinary. Prodigies of their level rarely used in the archaic demonic spider because clan. Both sides had them. The other archaic races didn't dare to provoke him. They might as well use their own strength. Therefore, but now he wanted to use these identity creatures were so confident. Is that so? Could it be that there was something special about this half-saint weapon? And they didn't know, but thinking about it, they should be able to see it soon. This scene made the 4 souls in the sky extremely desperate. Extremely powerful in his opinion, energy fluctuation as long as he used his identity, causing everyone even to feel a sense of oppression of the sacred grounds would everyone have to crawl under when they saw a green ancient sword. The other party was not moved at all. Its appearance was very simple, and green light and wanted to escape. There were runes on it that flickered incomparably. A half-saint weapon in an instant, terrifying body was shattered. Everyone exclaimed because only his head was also constantly changing on them, transforming into the appearance of his original spider body. Also narrowed his eyes. In the next moment, he also had the power of his bloodline and more than wanting to escape. He even had the saint's hand bone reached out a golden palm, enveloping heaven and earth, used them before, firmly sealing him. Seeing his opponent use a half-saint weapon, do you think you're so powerful? Crushing with a wave of his hand, in front of me, your just appeared beside him. Today, it emitted a terrifying being crushed by others. Another half-step the killing intent on Lin Xian's body became sharper and surged in the sky. The head trembled non-stop, patterns unable to bear it, and formed an incomparably terrifying storm that swept out in all directions. Is this your trump card? Chapter 2807. Lin Xian frowned as he looked at the other party. Han was overjoyed. You've underestimated me, a sigh of relief and you've underestimated our Green Vine clan. Kid, you're dead meat. Do you think this is just what my grandpa left for me? Today, I'll show you how powerful it is. His grandpa was the supreme elder of the ancient demonic spider sword in his hand, and his strength was terrifying with incomparable light. He had left a life-saving talisman in his body tremble. This talisman would only be activated when his life was at stake. At this moment, everyone's blood surged. Was not worried at all. Their faces pale, he knew how as if their bodies were penetrated. Strength was. What a terrifying sword energy! Life-saving talisman. He believed that no one could resist it. Why do I feel that his sword aura isn't a light transformed into an old man floating in the void fighting? Although it was only an illusion, it emitted a supreme aura that caused the entire world to tremble. Because the aura in front of them was becoming more and more terrifying. Ancient demonic spider it directly turned into a sky full of azure light that rushed into the 9 heavens and blasted out in all directions. Wanting to blast figures of the Nine Li dynasty also raised their heads, coldly. Their faces the dragon sword soul in his body roared energy and let out a loud dragon roar as if it could destroy everything. The sky fell and the earth cracked. The eyes of the archaic creature's expression changed. As expected of the Greenwood dragon power, it was indeed powerful. Who am I? The archaic creatures of the Greenwood clan were even more proud. Lin Xian pulled out the dragon-shaped sword shadow and released a terrifying power.
The dark red dragon came to his side and poured its power of the archaic royal family. The 1,000-foot-long dragon shadow slashed down mercilessly. The greenwood sword slowly raised. He wanted to end the battle quickly and not leave too many traces because he realized that the light figure was too terrifying. Azure light covered a radius of hundreds of thousands of miles. At this moment, used all its power to release such a terrifying aura, and it was only a soul imprint in front of him. But it was already who were too close were affected by the green sword light. He thought that the old man's true body would be very heavenly, but it was still too late. Therefore, he had to get rid of the trouble quickly. Directly swept by the azure sword light. Seeing that the ants were split into dozens of pieces, the old man roared angrily, and his body erupted with nails to the ground. Some were punched out and collided with the dragon-shaped sword shadow, and no longer existed. In the next moment, the apocalyptic scene appeared again. These people were all experts, although this old man was strong, they couldn't even block the aftershock of the sword energy. On the human side, he was smashed into pieces. Some of the saints frowned. Seeing this, was a half-saint artifact so powerful? That was a life-saving talisman that his grandfather had left for him. Yet only some of the top invincible kings could use it at full strength. Filled with regret. It would be difficult for them to use to provoke the other part in their hands. However, he no longer had the chance to regret. In the opponent's hand, his head had turned into ashes, and his soul had been completely destroyed by the sword. But by a single sword strike, what was going on? The sky was split apart. And a gigantic fissure really strange. Millions of miles. No wonder they dared to use a half-saint artifact. All of the ancient creatures had been completely wiped out. And they didn't know how including the soul of the supreme in the middle ground no longer the princes existed. Of the dynasties if had anyone also was here and saw this and scene, even the prince of the great Xia dynasty had also come. Fortunately, there was no one around. With a piercing light as he stared at the dark red divine dragon. He was also very curious about how Lin Xian would deal with it. Inside, although he hadn't fought with Qing Mu before, the ground, there was a very terrifying genius in the royal family who had fought with him. There were spider webs. Although that genius wasn't as strong as him, on the dense spider webs, he was also a very terrifying genius in the royal one after another. However, he still lost to Qing demon spiders. It was the greenwood sword in the opponent's hand that had defeated the genius of the royal family. At this moment, therefore, in the deepest part of the great Xia dynasty became very serious when facing the greenwood sword. It was an old man, Xian was also surrounded by countless piercing sword energy. And when it hit his body, it made kill my grandson. Thunderous sounds. I must tear you into pieces. Fiery light pierced through the surroundings. Voice roared forming in the nine terrifying black hole after another. Ancient demon spider his eyes turned a terrifying golden color, as if they were going to devour people. The grandson of the supreme elder was killed? How interesting. Could it be the four souls? He didn't expect that the opponent was also a sword to kill him, and such a terrifying one. Is it another ancient royal family? Coupled with this half-saint artifact, the supreme elder's really soul mark should be in the body of the supreme elder. When had he ever been afraid of others in the sword Dao? Who did it? These people were very puzzled. The supreme elder's face was also gloomy. Terrifying sword energy imprint he left from his body was also destroyed by the heavens and 10 lands. Therefore, he didn't know who energy took the shape of a dragon and rushed into the sky as if 10,000 dragons were roaring. You must find out who killed the dragon's roar resounded through the 9 heavens and 10 lands. I won't let him go. At this moment, the supreme elder's voice became more and more resplendent. The experts of the ancient demon spider clan of azure sword one after another. Everyone could still see him clearly. Lin Xian and the dark red divine dragon entered the ancient humans, the ancient creatures, and the older generation experts. There were no other dangers in the ruins except for the terrifying killing array outside. They were extremely shocked. The two of them ran all the way and finally came to the medicine field, and found that most of the spirit herbs had withered. This made the dark red divine dragon feel that it was a pity. If these spirit herbs were left to the present, they would definitely be peerless treasures. However, Chapter 28 breathed a sigh of relief. His opponent was indeed there was a spirit herb that was his regenerative ability and it was growing very vigorously. The dark red divine dragon stared at the spirit herb. He had more than one way to kill Lin Mu. This spirit herb was more than half a meter tall and quickly charged out. Like the terrifying sword light emitting a rich medicinal fragrance. Terrifying cracks appeared in the sky one after another. The dark red divine dragon into the distance with terrifying and indestructible power. Indeed, he was rich. Mu also charged he carefully forward. Plucked the spirit herb his and then put it away and swung the greenwood sword using it as a catalyst. Coupled with other treasures, again. I can refine a furnace of good pills. Qing Mu was defeated even more miserably. Lin Xian was very satisfied. His body was once again severed at the formations. He had not neglected his alchemy skills. Hearing this, his bloodline red divine dragon exclaimed, and his body healed once again with a powerful Lin Xian's alchemy recovery ability. That effect however, was much stronger than consuming the heaven cut open treasures alone. This time, therefore, he was a little impatient.
The two of them left the cave, like a god and in a flash, they soared into the sky and returned to the immortal palace. As he spoke, the sword returning on his body became even more dazzling. Went into seclusion to refine when they saw that, and the dark red divine dragon studied the formations. The terrifying prodigy of the Green Vine tribe, the true spirit even when he used the greenwood sword. One by one, his body was cut open many revived. If it were not for his strong regenerative ability, he would have been made a bigger move this time. Even so, young geniuses would not be able to hold on for long. Ancient races, after all, and they challenged he only had a strong regenerative ability, princes, but he was not truly immortal. They swept all the way, expected, and after the 20th recovery, they even declared that they would defeat all the human geniuses bloodline power and let everyone know and he did not have much energy left in this world. After all, every time he recovered, he had to consume a large amount of bloodline power to resist the indestructible myriad thunders of the dragon sword soul. The Yin-Yang when was cut open for the 21st time, the divine Wu dynasty's prince lost too. Qing Mu's expression finally changed. News swept across the world like before him was stronger than him. The saints and saintesses he did not dare to continue fighting and stood because if he continued young generation, he would probably be killed one after another. Therefore, the human ancient martial art practitioners could not accept this scene at all. I'll let you be proud this time. They felt that the sky was about to collapse. I'll definitely kill you with my sword. As for the names of the ancient races, they were like comets speaking, swept his body swayed and he quickly flew into the distance. Heavenly Dog seeing race. That everyone was Silver shocked. Lightning race. Qing Mu had escaped. Ancient demonic spider race. That Qing Mu demonic had been defeated? Ape race. Heavens, the terrifying races appeared one after another. A genius with their such young vigorous vitality had actually been defeated. However, his opponent's sword people in the human race who were equally terrifying. You want to leave? Can you leave? Lin Xian sneered as he watched the other party flee. Greenwood roared angrily. Damn brat, don't be too arrogant. Although your sword chi is terrifying, you won't be able to kill me in a short period of time, so quickly stop. Otherwise, don't blame me for going all out. Seeing that the other party was still intending to make a move, Qing Mu roared furiously. He was already sullen enough after his defeat today. Now, his opponent wanted to continue hunting him down. How could he tolerate this? Do you think you're very strong? Do you think I can't kill you just because you're full of vitality? Do you think I only have sword techniques? Lin Xian sneered and quickly formed a seal with his palms. One after another, profound palm prints appeared. Soon, a pair of golden eyes appeared in the sky, looking down at the earth like a god. As soon as the golden eye appeared, the people below began to tremble. Their souls trembled, and they couldn't help but want to kowtow. Damn it, what is that? That was especially true for those ancient life forms. They were terrified. That pair of golden eyes was simply too cold. Greenwood also felt that he was enveloped by a strange energy. In the next moment, he screamed in pain. Not good. It was a soul attack. He screamed crazily. He didn't expect the other party to have such a terrifying method. After all, if they angered the Yi family and the Yi family activated their extreme weapons, the 10,000 ancient races wouldn't be able to resist. Only the theocrats would be able to resist. Therefore, unless it was absolutely necessary, they didn't dare to make a move against Yi Dao Denier. Unless no one had a handle on him. But Lin Xian was different. Although he was also the master of Immortal Palace, they hadn't heard that Immortal Palace had any extreme weapons. So what if Immortal Palace was angry if they killed him? The 10,000 ancient races were powerful. How could they fear Immortal Palace? For a time, several true experts of the 10,000 ancient races moved. Their target was Lin Xian. Everyone was trembling, especially the human martial artists, who were terrified. The 10,000 ancient races were simply too strong. Even the primordial life forms were stunned. But soon they clenched their fists. Great, the Sunset Peak race's prodigy has made his move. This time we must kill him. That's right. What emperor of the human race? In front of the 10,000 ancient races, he's just an ant-like existence. Just you wait. This time, you humans will lose without a doubt. These ancient creatures were very arrogant. They were high and mighty, and no human race cultivators dared to step into their territory. Everyone fell silent when they heard this. because they didn't know what the final outcome of this battle would be. However, Lin Xian's supporters quickly counterattacked. What's so great about that? That's right, it's not the first time I've heard this. Previously, your Sunset Peak Race's prodigies were also very arrogant, but weren't they still killed by our god Lin Xian? What did you say? You're courting death. The ancient creatures were enraged. Lin Xian's supporters snorted coldly. What's wrong? You've been killed, but you won't let us say anything. You ancient creatures are too domineering. That's right, don't be arrogant here if you have the ability. Go and compete with God Lin Xian. Let's see if you can block his sword energy. You're courting death. Several ancient creatures were enraged on the spot. They reached out with their palms, covering the sky and the sun. They were like ancient demonic mountains that pressed down. They wanted to crush those who spoke into pieces. The human race cultivators were terrified. The other party was too terrifying. In an instant, their bodies stiffened. Of course, there were also people who roared and used their artifacts, preparing to fight to the death. Just as the battle was about to erupt, a cold snort was heard. A golden light in the sky cut through the void like a sharp sword, blocking everyone. Watch the battle carefully. A cold voice sounded. There were only a few words, but everyone's scalp went numb, and they didn't dare to say anything else. Even the ancient creatures were stunned. They seemed to have a feeling of suffocation. This kind of feeling only appeared when they faced the ancient royal family. Damn it, who is it? They looked up at the sky. In the sky, there was a golden figure. It was the human race's Saint Physique. Instead, it was Leaf Dao Denier. A wisp of light on his body directly suppressed those people. This was especially true for suppressing these ancient creatures. Those ancient creatures withdrew their power and didn't attack again. On the other side, the human race cultivators also breathed a sigh of relief. Yi Wu Dao is here. He's really strong. As expected of Eastern Sage. He's so powerful that just a wisp of his aura can suppress those ancient creatures. It's really a golden age. On the other side, a whistling sound rang out. The chaotic chi in the sky flickered, turning into a terrifying chaotic light. It carried a peerless beauty and slowly descended. Saint of all beginnings. It's her. This woman is getting more and more terrifying. Everyone discussed again. Dao can be spoken, but it's not Dao. Accompanied by an ethereal voice, a majestic figure descended. There were mysterious runes flickering around him one after another. It was really terrifying. Daoi Sage. Everyone exclaimed. The pupils of those ancient creatures also shrank. The appearance of these human sky prides was simply too terrifying. Chaotic chi and innate Dao patterns had both appeared. It was really shocking. It wasn't over yet. After the Saint of all beginnings, Dao Sage, and the others, several more figures descended from the sky. They were all human prodigies. Chapter 28-26. That person was none other than the Alcade Saint. The other person had the phantom of a phoenix on her body, suppressing the primordial creatures, causing their blood to freeze. Damn it, what a strong bloodline power. How could the human race have such a bloodline? They were shocked as they looked at the figure in horror. That figure was incomparably flickering. Her body was surrounded by a terrifying light, leaving behind a faint phantom of a phoenix that circled around her. The other human martial artists also exclaimed in surprise. The Jade Lake Saintess. The Jade Lake Saintess had arrived. Rumor had it that she had a mysterious bloodline, but they didn't expect it to be the Phoenix bloodline. Yes, it couldn't be done in the past, but now that the 10,000 ancient races had appeared, the Jade Lake Saintess bloodline had finally reappeared in the world. It was the incomparably terrifying Phoenix bloodline. That's right, the person who had arrived was Murong Qingqing. Her Phoenix bloodline was fully activated at this moment, causing her strength to undergo an earth-shattering change. Sister Qingqing. On the other side, purple clouds churned. A beautiful woman rode on a purple cloud and descended quickly. She was like a fairy in the mortal world. Saint-Xia. Heavenly spiritual body? She actually had a heavenly spiritual body. Among the primordial creatures, several primordial geniuses screamed as if they had seen a ghost. The humans were also astonished. What? Saint Xia actually had a heavenly spiritual body. Heavens! The heavenly spiritual body was similar to the Tao body. It was close to heaven and earth, not weaker than the heavenly spiritual body. Everyone was shocked. They didn't expect Xin Jingqiu to have a terrifying heavenly spiritual body. This Lin Xian was really heaven-defying. His two little female companions actually had such terrifying physiques. Everyone naturally knew the relationship between Murong Qingqing, Xin Jingqiu, and Lin Xian. This made everyone speechless because Lin Xian himself had the 9-yang divine body, and his sword qi was terrifying. The people around him were also terrifying. That dark red snake wasn't a snake, but a dragon. The two female companions beside him both had heaven-defying physiques, and he even had a friend like Yi Wudao. It could be said that he was really strong to the peak. However, there were older generation figures who shook their heads and sighed. Things that were too hard were easy to break. Perhaps this time, this Lin Xian of Zhonghuang was really in danger. The other holy sons, holy daughters, and sky prides fell silent. The archaic creatures sneered again and again. In the sky, the huge projections became more and more terrifying. They were like ancient demonic mountains that pressed down in all directions. Those who were weaker could not withstand it at all. Their bodies trembled, and even the saints and geniuses turned pale. Boom, boom. The terrifying dark clouds churned and tore apart as a giant head poked out. The head was larger than a mountain, and its terrifying eyes were emitting a merciless light. He stared at the human warriors below. This time around, quite a number of saints and geniuses have come. However, you bunch of trash are really unable to withstand a single blow from me. As he spoke, he stretched out his hand and grabbed downwards. This palm was simply too terrifying. It covered a radius of tens of thousands of miles. As it pressed down, the void collapsed completely. Boom, boom, boom. The 5 elements saint and 10,000 thunder saint were sent flying while vomiting blood. The freedom saint was also sent flying. It was too terrifying. These holy sons and holy daughters were originally the top sky prides of the human race. However, at this moment, they were nothing in front of the archaic royal sky prides. TSK, a bunch of trash. A disdainful voice rang out. A blue figure appeared in the sky and confronted the blood-red moon. The other party did not emit any strange scene. He just stood there. His entire body was blue, as if he was made of blue crystal. His face was ferocious, like a demon. There was a horn on his head and a pair of blue wings on his back. In his left hand he held a black demonic banner, and in his right hand was a trident. His body emitted a biting cold aura that could make people faint at a glance. He was the sky prides of the Blue Devil tribe. At this moment, the sky was divided into 3 parts. One part was blood red, and the blood-red moon was rotating slowly. The other part was the sky prides of the Blue Devil tribe. The last part was pitch-black clouds. A head was ferocious and let out a terrifying roar. Chapter 28-27. The 3 sky prides of the far ancient royals were chatting in the sky, but the aura they emitted shocked everyone. Was the Blood Moon clan that powerful? Take my fist. Below, Yi Wudao's body suddenly erupted with a fierce golden light, and a golden fist blasted towards the sky. You're courting death. An angry voice rang out, and the blood-colored moon in the sky spun crazily. Then, it came crashing down with the force of Mount Tai. Boom! When the two of them collided, the heavens collapsed and the earth cracked. A violent storm spread out in all directions with the two of them as the center. Not good, Dudge. Screams rang out. They were too close and they were about to be killed. At this moment, some of the elders of the Holy Lands took out their bejeweled weapons and worked together to form a light screen. Only then did they manage to protect everyone. Otherwise, just the aftermath of this energy would be enough to kill most of the people present. They were saved. Everyone heaved a sigh of relief and looked up at the sky. They wanted to see the result. Yi Wudao retracted his fist and said indifferently, The Blood Moon clan was nothing more than this. He stood with his hands behind his back, looking calm. The blood-colored moon in the sky spun continuously, and the terrifying killing intent was getting more and more terrifying. Amitabha. He wasn't the only one who moved. Dustless also chanted Buddhist scriptures and stood up. Buddhist light bloomed from his body as he stared at the sky pride of the Blue Devil clan. Little monk, how dare you have designs on me? I'll take your soul away today. The sky pride of the Blue Devil clan laughed sinisterly. The soul-summoning banner in his hand moved quickly. Suddenly, countless vengeful spirits appeared, and a terrifying voice rang out. Everyone's scalps went numb, as if their souls were about to be pierced. Buzz, the living fossil elder, took out a treasure and froze it in midair. Only then was he able to protect everyone. Dustless faced all this with a calm expression. His fingers moved quickly, and all the light energy was stuck to his fingertip. It formed a very beautiful flower. Flower pinching finger. A Buddhist grand mystique. Many people screamed. The flower pinching finger was too terrifying, and it could destroy all attacks. As expected, the attack of the Blue Devil clan's Sky Pride was destroyed by the flower pinching finger. What a strange mystique. The genius from the Blue Devil clan also frowned. Although it was just a simple move, he could sense how terrifying his opponent was. In the blink of an eye, the two royals were glaring at Leaf Downir, Dustless, and the others. The two of them were still fearless as they confronted each other. The atmosphere in the sky became more and more tense. The elders and experts of the human race joined forces to set up a formation that covered a radius of hundreds of thousands of miles to protect the lives of the spectators. Otherwise, no one would dare to watch such a shocking battle. These people were all experts from the great sects of the Holy Lands. The array that they brought out was truly terrifying. It could definitely protect everyone. In the sky, the giant head of the Southern Sea Crocodile god also turned. He said, "Gentlemen, give me some face today. After I kill that brat, the two of you can make your move." The Sky Pride of the Blood Moon clan nodded coldly. The Sky Pride of the Blue Devil clan also smiled. Fine, I'll give you face today and let you fight first." Their figures swayed. They stood on the clouds and looked down. Leaf Downir and Dustless retracted their gazes. Dustless chanted Amitabha and retreated as well. The two of them were still fearless. No matter when the battle started, they were ready to fight. However, now wasn't the time for them to make a move. Their gazes pierced through the clouds and looked into the distance. At the peak of the mountain, there was a young figure sitting cross-legged. Lin Xian sat on the peak with his eyes closed. His hands were forming hand seals, and his robes fluttered as if he were asleep. Endless spiritual energy was inhaled and exhaled with every breath he took. What had happened earlier didn't affect his cultivation. It was as if he'd already transcended the mortal world. Everyone's eyes were fixed on him. The Sky Pride of the Southern Sea Crocodile god clan did the same. He slowly turned his giant head and stared at the mountain below. "Kid, don't you think it's too late for you to cultivate now?" Two piercing rays of light shot out of his eyes, transforming into two flying swords that pierced through the void and shot toward Lin Xian. In the blink of an eye, they were right in front of Lin Xian. With a loud boom, the space around Lin Xian shattered rapidly. More than 10 large black holes appeared, bobbing up and down. However, Lin Xian still didn't react. He sat there as if he'd really fallen asleep. However, the mountain below him and himself weren't hurt at all. In fact, the two flying swords stopped when they were 1 meter away from him, as if they were caught by a pair of invisible hands. This scene stunned the Southern Sea Crocodile god clan, and the others frowned. Buzz, Lin Xian opened his eyes. Stars flickered in his eyes as he looked forward. Instantly, the two flying swords turned into dust and scattered between heaven and earth. In the next moment he stood up slowly, shook his robes, looked around, and said calmly, "I'll be cultivating every day at this time. It won't change just because you're here. All right, you can attack now." Lin Xian's voice was soft, but everyone heard it clearly. This scene shocked everyone, especially the archaic creatures. Their faces were filled with shock. He would be cultivating every day, And it wouldn't change just because an archaic paragon had arrived. This meant that Lin Xian didn't care about this battle at all. He was treating it as if nothing had happened. That's impossible. Shouldn't he be nervous and afraid? Damn it. This brat must be hiding something. The archaic creatures sneered. The humans were also shocked. It seemed that Lin Xian was full of confidence. Brat, stop hiding. Don't pretend to be calm. I know you're scared now, because you're facing no one else but me. I'm the paragon of the archaic royal family. There's no way you can defeat me. The Southern Sea Crocodile God Clan's voice was cold and emotionless. I know that you're Lin Xian, one of the top paragons of the human race. You have the honor of the human race on your shoulders. Therefore, you can't run. You have to fight. However, I advise you to obediently admit defeat. You'll lose your honor and you'll still be able to keep your life. However, if you fight me, you won't even be able to keep your life. What's the use of your honor then? So, kneel down and kowtow to me. I'll spare your life. The Southern Sea Crocodile God Clan seemed to have turned into a king, controlling the life and death of others. When the archaic creatures heard this, they laughed out loud. Did you hear that? Brat, kneel down and beg for mercy. You're just an ant. How can you be a match for the archaic royal family? Chapter 28:28. A cold voice came from the sky. Lin Xian took a step forward and stood in the sky. Beg you for mercy? You think too much. Today, I'll tell you that the human race cannot be bullied. Tit for tat. Although the two of them didn't roar crazily, the smell of gunpowder was very strong. One of them was a high and mighty royal genius who wanted to trample the human race under his feet and never make a comeback. The other was a human genius who carried the reputation and hope of the human race. The meaning and impact of the battle between the two of them was very far-reaching. Therefore, at this moment, countless pairs of eyes were watching from the sky. Even the sacred leader sect's supreme elders and ancient powerhouses were watching. Although they weren't at the scene personally, they were watching from afar through array formations and various secret techniques. It could be said that the entire world was paying attention to this battle. Reckless guy, I'll let you know the consequences of going against me. The Southern Sea Divine Crocodile Clan's genius. He revealed a sinister smile. There was no point in saying anything more. Let's fight. Lin Xian's body also emitted a biting cold light. The 9-yang divine body burned like the sun. Boom, 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 buzz. In the sky, the Southern Sea Divine Crocodile Clan finally couldn't help but attack. He stretched out a palm. This palm was too terrifying. It was like the palm of a giant spirit god. It carried a terrifying energy that pierced through heaven and earth and completely enveloped Lin Xian. Lin Xian's face was cold as he stood in the sky. At this moment, he seemed to have turned into an eternal being. The sword chi on his body also rushed out quickly. Rays of sword light shot into the sky. Clang, 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 clang. The shockwave alone shattered the clouds in the sky. Boom, boom, boom. Countless sword chi were blasted away and scattered in all directions. However, the giant spirit's palm was also blocked in midair and couldn't descend any further. This scene caused everyone to cry out in surprise. They were evenly matched. The human race cultivators heaved a sigh of relief. The ancient creatures' faces were gloomy. Damn it. He can actually fight against a royal genius. How is this possible? Brat, you have some ability. You were actually able to block my palm. However, it's a pity that I didn't use all of my strength in that palm strike. The Southern Sea Divine Crocodile sneered. Is that so? No need to laugh. In a moment, you will discover that even if you use all your strength, you still won't be able to shake me in the slightest. Lin Xian's voice was steady, but the sword light on his body had become even more piercingly cold. The ancient dragon abyss sword was also pulled out by him. The terrifying sword chi spread out in all directions, as if a huge dragon had been awakened. You're courting death. The other party's arrogant attitude had truly angered him. The Southern Sea Godly Crocodile roared and struck out with his palm again. This time, The heavens fell and the earth cracked. It was as if a demonic god had gone mad. Heaven and earth shattered, experiencing a great destruction. Fortunately, the surroundings were still enveloped by the formation. Otherwise, such a terrifying attack would have long sunk the mountain range of hundreds of thousands of miles. As for the warriors below, other than those at the very top, the rest would be killed. Lin Xian roared and executed the yin-yang 8 steps. Along with the terrifying ancient sword, he charged forward. Sword after sword split the heavens and earth, colliding with the huge palms and exploding with unparalleled power. The two of them exchanged blows quickly, shaking the heavens and the earth. In the sky, the huge body rotated, and every strike could kill an elite. Even the unrivaled kings didn't dare to get close. However, Lin Xian was able to deal with it calmly. His speed was simply too fast, so fast that it was dazzling to the eyes. Very few people were able to capture his movements. The others couldn't see it clearly at all. They could only see huge cracks appearing one after another. The southern sea godly crocodile roared crazily. In an instant, thousands of attacks had landed on his body. Every attack landed on his body, causing his blood to churn and his bones to tremble. Damn it! With a roar, the dark clouds in the sky churned. His huge body shrunk rapidly and finally became a human figure. He had a human crocodile head and looked extremely ferocious. In his hands, he held 2 huge axes. As he waved them around, his aura could swallow mountains and rivers. Lin Xian's body swayed and retreated a few thousand miles away. He sneered, "Aren't you the southern sea godly crocodile? Why did you transform into a human? Didn't you look down on us humans? But don't you have confidence in your own body? If that's the case, you can submit to the human race in the future. I can teach you a few skills." Damn it! The southern sea godly crocodile was about to go crazy. Smoke was coming out of his head. There was nothing he could do about it. Previously, his body was too big and his opponent's speed was too fast. Especially those sword chi, they directly broke through his pressure and charged towards him. The blood in his body was churning, and his bones were about to break. That was why he shrunk his body and transformed into a human. That way, no matter how fast his opponent was, he might not be able to hurt him. However, his opponent took advantage of that and mocked him. He couldn't refute that. That was because he was indeed in his human form. Therefore, he could only rush over with bloodshot eyes and 2 giant axes in his hands. The axes fell, splitting the sky and earth. The sky was filled with axe shadows, making one feel despair. At the same time, his terrifying crocodile head opened from time to time and spat out balls of energy storms. Lin Xian, on the other hand, swung his long sword to fight back. The axe shadows that filled the sky were all destroyed by the sword light, and the energy storms were blown away by his punch. "Show me your ultimate move. This attack can't threaten me," Lin Xian said coldly as he swung his sword again and knocked back his opponent's axes. The southern sea godly crocodile snorted. His eyes shone with a piercing light. He knew that it was time to use his ultimate move. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to do anything to his opponent. Everyone held their breaths. The immemorial creatures were also shocked. In the sky, the prodigies of the Blood Knight clan and the Blue Demon clan also had solemn expressions. To think that this Lin Xian of the human race would be this formidable. However, they didn't care. From the looks of it, the southern sea crocodile god hadn't used his full strength yet. When he used his ultimate move, Lin Xian probably wouldn't be able to fight back. Buzz. As the southern sea crocodile god's aura exploded, the void behind him cracked open, forming a terrifying crack. It connected the 9 heavens and the earth, as if it was going to tear the sky apart. Endless light spewed out from that crack. Then, a blurry figure walked out of the crack as if it had traveled through time. It was emitting an aura. The shadow of the crocodile ancestor. It was the shadow of the crocodile ancestor. Many archaic creatures screamed. Even the 2 prodigies, Blood Moon and Blue Devil, were stunned. However, other than the nest of 10,000 dragons, only some dragons were related to dragons. How could this human in front of him be related to dragons? He really couldn't understand. Buzz. Lin Xian held the dragon-shaped sword Shadow and slashed out, causing the entire sky to tremble. The ground was directly pierced through, the mountains trembled, the sun and moon lost their light, and even the arrays dimmed, as if they would shatter at any moment. Damn it, get lost. The southern sea crocodile god roared, and the giant axe in his hand fell again, turning into mountains that fell from the sky. Boom. The two's attack was earth-shattering. Even with the protection of the array, many people vomited blood and were sent flying. There was nothing they could do. These two were too terrifying. After the attack, the two of them retreated. However, it was obvious that the southern sea crocodile god retreated further. His arm was numb, and the giant axe in his hand almost fell out of his hand. This made it difficult for him to be confident. Could it be that the other party's strength was stronger than his? Damn it, I don't believe it. True Tai water. Go to hell. He roared, and the sky above his head spun rapidly, forming a huge vortex. Then, there was a rumbling sound, and terrifying black seawater fell from the sky, covering the entire sky. It whistled and swept toward Lin Xian. A drop of true Tai water could crush the void. At this moment, the true Tai water had turned into an ocean, and its power was incomparably terrifying. Even the expressions of the older generation changed. Damn it, strengthen the array. They attacked crazily. Fortunately, there were enough human powerhouses this time, and they brought enough treasures. That was why the array could withstand it. Otherwise, if the true Tai water fell, everything within 1,000,000 miles would be reduced to nothingness. Blazing sun. Lin Xian stood in the void, activating the 9-yang divine constitution to the extreme. Balls of 9-yang divine fire danced on his body. At this moment he was like the sun, emitting a dazzling light. It was so dazzling that those people could not open their eyes. Some people even wanted to force themselves to look, but their eyes bled and they screamed on the ground. The sun-like divine fire shone in all directions, spreading in all directions. It collided with the true Tai water, and there was an intense sound of fighting. Suddenly, white smoke rose between heaven and earth. The 9-yang divine constitution was the most masculine body. Lin Xian had cultivated it using all kinds of natural treasures and terrifying methods. Although he had only reached the second level, its power was still terrifying. The 9-yang divine fire that he carried was truly terrifying. Even the true Tai water could not break it. Countless large cracks appeared in the sky, and it looked like the end of the world. Outside was endless black seawater that shook heaven and earth. Inside, there was a terrifying divine fire that directly enveloped Lin Xian. It made it impossible for the true Tai water to get close. Those that got close were all evaporated into white vapor, turning into clouds that drifted between heaven and earth. True Tai water? It was only SOSO. Lin Xian snorted coldly, and a piercing light burst out from his eyes. He used the yin-yang 8 steps and charged forward. His body was covered in the 9-yang divine fire, and he slashed forward. Coupled with the power of the great dragon sword soul, it was truly terrifying to the extreme. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.